Chapter 4173. At the side, Night Spirit and Yuing are already dumbfounded. They know that the cultivation elixir Yi Liangshan refines is of the highest quality, and it's hard to find one nowadays. But they didn't expect that she can also refine elixirs that can heal magic core injuries. What kind of monster is this guy? On the contrary, Yin Ruhan is already used to his little junior sister's omnipotence. The two finally reunited after a narrow escape from death. There are too many things to talk about. After sending Night Spirit and Yu Ying away, Mu Yin tells everything that happened after Yin Ruhan and the others faked their deaths. Hearing that little master died in front of them, Yin Ruhan says loudly, "Impossible. Even we can survive, little master won't die so easily." His tone is resolute, but his voice is trembling and his hands are clenched tightly. It's enough to show how panicked he is. Mu Yin takes a deep breath and says hoarsely, "That's why I disguised myself as a man and participated in the Demon Princess's marriage selection. Because there is a marriage contract between the Demon Princess and Little Master. The other party of the marriage contract may know whether Little Master is still alive or not." Yin Ruhan's eyes widen slightly. "Little Master has a marriage contract with the Demon Princess?" Mu Yin nods. "And that Demon Princess seems to be Little Master's sweetheart. Although this sweetheart is really not good. Little Master's life or death is still unknown, and the whole world is already choosing a son-in-law. Thinking that even Di Ming Ju also came to the heavenly enchantment banquet, she wants to grind her teeth." Yin Ruhan looks at Mu Yin with a strange expression. He remembers the scene he saw with Little Third in the Xiozhen continent. Does Little Master really like a nuisance demon princess? It should be. Yin Ruhan calms down and puts that distant scene out of his mind. "Little junior sister, what can I help you with?" Mu Yin takes out a lot of elixirs and mabe from her storage ring and says with a smile, "Eldest senior brother, what you need the most right now is to improve your demon strength as soon as possible. In this hidden abyss, there is no spiritual power or immortal power, only demonic energy. This is the best opportunity for you to cultivate your demon body and forge a demon core. You have a true half-demon and half-spirit body, so there will be no conflict between spiritual and demonic cultivation. But if the two cannot reach a balance, I'm afraid you will never be able to master divine power in this life." Yinrin. Others were still working hard to improve their immortal and devil chi, but his little junior sister already looked down on immortal and devil chi and wanted him to cultivate godly power. "Very good. This is very junior sister." Yin Rahan solemnly received the things and then reached out to gently rub Mu Yan's head, his voice soft. "It's been hard on you during this period of time. If there's anything in the future, eldest brother will help you shoulder it together. I have a premonition that little martial uncle is definitely still alive." Mayan's eyes redden all of a sudden. During this period of time, her performance had been very normal. She participated in the marriage contest, went through the rankings in Tianguang ruins, and cultivated step by step to improve her strength. But every time she closed her eyes, she would see the scene on the floating island that shattered her soul. In order not to implicate them, youngest martial uncle cut off his own heart and died in front of her. As for her, she could do nothing but watch helplessly. Just like back then, she could only watch helplessly as her master was burned to ashes by the flames. She was more eager than ever to improve her strength. Not only did she want to make herself stronger, but she also wanted the people around her to become stronger so that no one could hurt her anymore. Chapter 4174. She didn't want to see anyone die in front of her like little martial uncle. Mu Yin smiled, stared at Yin Ruhan, and said in a hoarse voice, "Then senior brother, please become strong, strong enough that no one will take you away from me. Strong enough that our Xiaoyao sect is invincible and unstoppable." Yin Ruhan's heart ached and nodded. "Okay, I promise you." He looked at the thing in his hand and slowly clenched his fists. He had to be stronger. He didn't want to be a burden to little sister and third brother. He didn't want little sister to face life and death alone one day. Muyin always felt that the dark, lowly Yu was interested in her senior brother. But what she didn't expect was that when she woke up the next morning, she saw the girl lying on the bed side by side with her. Muyin was startled and quickly sat up from the bed. Yu's giggling laughter came to her ears. "Little Chunchun, why are you so afraid? We're both women. What else can I do to you?" Muyan's mouth twitched. Was I seen through? But it wasn't surprising to be seen through. Yu's strength was very strong. Before in Red Star City, because the situation was tense and the two were far apart most of the time, they weren't noticed. Last night, Muyin treated her injuries and the two were very close. Finally, Yu woke up and stared at her for a while. At that time, Muyin guessed that her disguise as a man had been seen through. "Ah, a girl like you actually dares to participate in the election of the Demon Princess. Haha. Little Chunchun, you are so interesting. The more I look at you, the more I like you." The girl's little hand reached out to her face. Muyin dodged sideways and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Lord Yue, do you fancy me or my eldest senior brother? If you want to be my sister-in-law, just say it." The teasing expression on Yu's face froze, and then she frowned bitterly. "Am I so obvious? Could it be that I'm so horny when I look at that little magic pet that even you, little Chun-Chun, can tell?" "Puff, little magic pet." Muyin coughed lightly and said, "So, you really want to be my sister-in-law?" Yu straightened her small chest. "What? Am I not qualified?" Mayan stifled a laugh and said, "Enough, enough. But according to the rules of our Xiao Yao school, you have to marry into our family. Whether I marry into his family or not, we'll talk about it after I seduce him." Yu waved her little hand and said boldly, "After I get him into bed with me, if his skills are good enough to satisfy me, I'll consider marrying into your Xiao Yao school. It's not impossible." Puffed. Cough, cough, cough. "Lady Yue, what kind of nonsense are you spouting?" Mayan's face flushes red, and after a long while, she chokes out, "Then you can do your best." Yu did not know what it meant to cheer for Yi Liangchun, but she was sure that Yi Liangchun was not her rival in love. Yi was in a good mood. But before that, I have to go back to the Demon Blood Guards. It's time to settle some scores with that old dog, Guan Yu. Ahem, before I leave, I came to find you to remind you of something. He was definitely not here to investigate his rival in love. Chapter 4175. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find us today. Dear readers, please remember our domain name, Book Ocean Pavilion, and find your way home. Muyin was stunned. Although she didn't have much contact with Yu, she could tell that this black-bellied lowly was an arrogant and willful person. For Yu to say, "I'll retreat immediately if I can't take it anymore," it was clear that Helianjua's strength was far greater than what he appeared to be on the surface. Muyin nodded and said, "Thank you. There's no need to thank me. After all, I was drooling over you too." Yu suddenly leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. Then, she giggled and disappeared from the room. Muyin touched her face and was speechless. She felt that the Xiao Yao sect would be in a mess in the future with such a sister-in-law. Night Spirit and Yu Ying had been on tenterhooks because of the enmity with Helianjua. They were afraid that Muyin would meet Helianjua in the upcoming matches. But luckily, Muyin's next opponents weren't strong. She advanced smoothly all the way. Her reputation and prestige in the immortal slaying city grew day by day. At the final stage of the competition, her popularity was almost on par with Helianjua's. On the 14th day of the immortal slaying city's marriage selection, only Muyin, Helianjua, and 2 other level 7 demon masters had not been eliminated. In the immortal slaying city's city lord's residence, the city lord was kneeling in front of a young man with a respectful expression. "Lord Tianhe, I didn't expect you to personally come to the immortal slaying city. It's our honor." "All right, enough with the pleasantries." Tianhe waved his hand and said impatiently, "Bring me to the immortal slaying square and find a quiet place for me to watch the competition. Damn it, if not for the fact that I don't want to embarrass myself at the heavenly enchantment banquet, I wouldn't have come to watch these brats." The city lord of the immortal slaying city chuckled dryly and hurriedly led the way. Tianhe asked as he walked, "Oh right, Which 4 brats from your immortal slaying city made it to the finals? The city lord wiped the sweat off his forehead and answered, They are Helianjua, Yiliangshan, Xiangshu, and Ruewu. Ha! The little wolf cub from the Helian family that your father, was really nominated. I have a good eye. Yap Liangshun. It sounded familiar. Was he the pretty boy that Xue was obsessed with recently? TSK. How did you get assigned to me? If I get eliminated here, Xue won't come looking for me, right? As Qianhe muttered to himself, the city lord brought him to a room suspended in the air above the immortal massacre square. Sir, do you think this place will do? Tian, he waved his hand and threw a demonic aroma fruit into his mouth. At the same time, he looked down in boredom. The match hadn't even started yet, but he was already feeling drowsy. He yawned and said to the immortal slaying city lord, I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up when they're done. The city lord's mouth twitched, and he was about to agree. Something on Tian's waist suddenly lit up. He let out a blood-curdling scream and jumped up. While complaining that it was hot, he hurriedly took out a magic crystal from his waist. After injecting demonic energy into the magic crystal, Min Wei's face immediately appeared in front of him. Tianhe felt his skin tighten, and he hurriedly said, Elder Min Wei, what are you doing? Is the sacred item of the demon race for you to use like this? My skin was almost scalded by the holy flame demon fire. Min Wei smiled sinisterly and said, The other 3 have already sent over the live feed of the match. What are you doing? Chapter 4176. Don't tell me you found a place to sleep in. Do you believe that when you come back, I will peel off your entire skin instead of scald it off? The corner of Tianhe's mouth twitched. After a while, he laughed dryly. The competition hasn't started yet. Why are you in such a hurry? All right, I will send you a video, all right? After saying that, he reluctantly took out a black stone and placed it on the windowsill in front of him. As Qianhe continued to pour in demonic qi, the black stone began to rotate left and right, emitting a faint light. The immortal massacre city lord was surprised. Sir, is this the magic mirage stone that can transmit images and sounds in real time? Qianhe nodded listlessly and yawned again. The magic mirage stone was not an ordinary mirage stone. In terms of magic treasures, it was already at the level of a divine monarch equipment. But the magic mirage stone had a weakness. It needed a steady stream of pure demonic qi to be activated. Otherwise, the transmission would be cut off. Qianhe originally wanted to sleep until the end of the competition, but now that he was being watched by Elder Min Wei, he could forget about it. Forget it. Although it was boring to watch a few whelps fight back and forth. However, he had no choice but to reluctantly take a look. Qianhe yawned again and looked down at the plaza. However, this glance caused his expression to change slightly. His expression became heavy for the first time. The final round of the 4-star main city was a 4-person competition. However, the competition format was no longer one-on-one, but a 4-person mixed battle. The one who could stand until the end on the magic crystal platform would be the champion of the immortal massacre city. Logically speaking, Tianhe had only taken a nap earlier. The competition below could be said to have started not long ago. However, at this moment, there were only 2 people left on the magic crystal platform, Helianjua and Yi Liangchun, and no matter which one of them emitted demonic qi, it was pure and powerful. Even Tianhe, who was high above, could feel it. This seems interesting. I know that the little whelps of the Helian family are capable. I didn't expect that the pretty boy that Xue favors would also exceed my expectations. On the magic crystal platform, on the immortal massacre plaza, Helianjua took out a snow-white handkerchief and gently wiped his fingers. His hands had just pierced through Xiangshu's chest. His fingertips were emitting flames, burning Xiangshu's internal organs into nothingness. But at this moment, his fingers were clean. After the snow-white handkerchief was removed, it was still spotless. When the Rue shaman witnessed this scene from below, he felt his heart tremble and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He was glad that the one who chose him was Yi Liangchun and not Helianjua. Although he could not withstand more than a few moves from Yi Liangchun, At least Yu Liangshun did not kill him. He managed to survive. On the other hand, Xiongshi would likely need at least 3 to 5 years to recover from his injuries. At this moment, the Rue shaman looked worriedly at the youth on the magic crystal platform. Although Yu Liangshun was very strong, it was impossible for him to win against Hellion Jua. He could only hope that this brat would grow some brains and admit defeat as soon as possible. That way, he would at least be able to retreat unscathed. On the magic crystal platform, after Hellion Jua finished wiping his hands, he chuckled at Mu Yin. What? I've given you a chance to live, but you don't want to grab it? Chapter 4177. Due to unknown reasons, this site is suddenly unavailable on Sogu today. Mu Yin couldn't be bothered with him. Seeing Yun Ruhan watching the battle below, she waved at Night Spirit and Yu Ying, indicating that they didn't have to worry. Below, Night Spirit and Yu Ying's expressions changed drastically as they instinctively shouted, "Be careful." Mu Yan's expression remained unchanged. She took a step forward, and her figure suddenly disappeared on the spot. However, her sharp fingernails still brushed past her neck, cutting off a strand of her hair. Hellion Jua stood where she was just now, his lips curling into an excited and bloodthirsty arc. I didn't expect you to be able to dodge this attack. You do have some ability after all. This is good. It's been a long time since I've tasted the thrill of defeating a strong cultivator and then torturing him. Mu Yan's gaze focused. She raised her left hand, and the second 7 absolute sword appeared. Her figure moved like a phantom and appeared in front of Hellion Jua in the blink of an eye. Swimming dragon double slash. A dazzling silver sword light streaked across and pierced through Hellion Jua's body. Cries of surprise came from the magic crystal platform. However, the next moment, Hellion Jua's figure slowly dissipated like water ripples. It was just an illusion. Night Spirit revealed a regretful expression as he waved his fists. I thought that Liangshun would win so easily. Ewing also felt that it was a pity. Yu Liangshun's attack was unexpected and as fast as lightning. She knew that she definitely wouldn't be able to dodge it if it were her. If Hellion Jua were to die under this sword, then Yu Liangshun would easily become the leader of the group. Only Yun Ruhan's expression turned a little solemn. That was because he realized that Hellion Jua's strength far exceeded his imagination. Perhaps he wasn't weaker than his junior sister. On the magic crystal platform, Hellion Jua's figure slowly appeared. He looked at Mu Yin and said with a faint smile, "That move just now was not bad. However, it seemed more like a spirit cultivator's sword technique." Hee. I haven't seen a spirit cultivator's sword technique in a long time since someone used demonic chi. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Then, have a taste of this move of mine. Before he finished speaking, Hellion Jua's figure suddenly rose into the air. His body seemed to have expanded dozens of times in an instant. However, his movements were still extremely nimble. The way he spreads his arms in the air is like an eagle, but also like a flood dragon, swooping towards Mayan. Mu Yan's heart shuddered. Her divine sense moved, and the 7-7 despair swords appeared in the air, intertwining to form a sword net. The 7 absolute sword in her hand stabbed towards the weakest part of Hellion Jua's demonic chi without hesitation. Pucci. The 7 absolutes sword effortlessly pierced through Hellion Jua's body. But Mu Yan's complexion has changed. Haha, Yap Liangshun, taste my whirling dragon phantom kill. A sharp whistling sound rang in her ears, almost piercing her eardrums. In the blink of an eye, Mu Yin felt as if his eyes were covered in bright red, and his mind was buzzing. She lost her sense of hearing and sight. The most frightening thing was that when she released her divine sense, it was blocked by a powerful force. Mu Yan's mind shudders, and she quickly retrieves the 7 absolute swords. At the same time, he cast Astral Domain as fast as he could. Bang! A deafening sound swept up the entire immortal slaying square. All the demons watching the battle were forced to retreat again and again. The magic crystal platform, which was supposed to be incomparably hard, actually had pieces of shattered crystal splattering. After a long time, the violent wind stopped and the dust settled. Only then did everyone see the situation on the magic crystal platform clearly. They saw Hellion Jua and Mu Yin standing at opposite ends. Chapter 4178. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Hellion Jua and Mu Yin stood at opposite ends. Both of them had injuries on their bodies. It was just that Hellion Jua was injured on the shoulder, but there was a bloodstain slowly spreading on Mu Yin's chest. Hellion Jua turned his head and glanced at the savage wound on his shoulder where bone could be seen. He didn't even raise an eyebrow. Demonic energy surged, and the wound quickly healed. He sighed and said, "No matter how I look at it, your root bone is still young, but your domain level has already reached the 5th layer. I really can't help but envy you. If I'm not wrong, you should also be a descendant of the heavenly devil, right? From a spirit immortal to a fiendish Tao." Hellion Jua's words made the demons watching the battle below suck in a breath of cold air, revealing expressions of disbelief. How rare was the child of a heaven-raised devil? Besides, with Yap Liangshan's talent and power, who were his parents? All of a sudden, there were waves of whispers and discussions below. I really didn't expect that the great demon King Yi was actually the same as Lord Hellion, a child of the heaven-raised demon. No wonder I felt that his battle style was similar to the spirit cultivators. We have never heard of such a person in the hidden abyss. He must have just returned from the spirit cultivation world. Could it be that Yi Liangshan is a spy sent by the spirit cultivators? He is actually a spirit cultivator, but he disguised himself as a demon cultivator trying to marry our noble princess and then murder her? Are you kidding me? Demon King Ye's strength is obvious to all. Her demon core is at least at the 5th level of Demon Master. Do you think that a 5th order Demon Master is so easy to disguise? Isn't Lord Hellion the son of a heaven-raised devil? He was also a spirit cultivator. What's so strange about that? As long as you have a pure demon core in your body and have given up on the path of spirit cultivation, then you must belong to our demon race. But do any of us know who Yi Liangshan's parents are? With Yi Liangshan's talent, how could his parents not come looking for him when he has become so outstanding? I still don't think it's appropriate. This is the prince consort of our demon race. How can we allow a spirit cultivator of unknown origins to steal the limelight from all of us demons? Since it's like this, I'll still support Lord Hellion. I also support Lord Hellion. On the immortal slaying square, the way the demons looked at Mayan gradually changed. Vigilance, suspicion, curiosity, and awe. However, they did not have as much worship and admiration as before. The corners of Hellion Jua's mouth slowly curled up. He was delighted to see such a scene. He wanted to establish his own force with the Hellion family as the center. Once he obtained the Blood Demon Commander-in-Chief's token, his strength would continue to break through in the future, and even the position of the Demon Venerable might be his. Apart from marrying the mysterious and unfathomable demon princess, he was also participating in the betrothal selection. Another very important reason was that he could take the opportunity to convince the spectating devil race, making them willingly offer their devil souls and become his followers. However, Hellion Jua did not expect that Yi Liangshan would appear out of nowhere. From the 1-star main city to the 4-star main city, his performance in every match was stunning and eye-catching. In addition, he unified the 3 lists in the Tianguang ruins, greatly boosting the demon race's prestige in front of the spirit cultivators. As a result, more and more demon race madly worshipped this handsome and immature youth. The people of the 4-star main city could only participate in the matches of the 4-star main city. Chapter 4179. A person from a 4-star main city can only participate in a 4-star main city tournament. Hellion Jua never had a chance to perform before. Yi Liangshan, on the other hand, came all the way from a 1-star main city. Many demons who are loyal to him even spent a large amount of mabe to follow him to a 4-star main city. During this period of time, Hellion Jua wants to use ruthless methods to show his strength and bravery. But the rumors in the immortal massacre city are like, who said that demons must be ruthless? Do you really like it that much when someone pierces your stomach and pulls out your intestines? I still think that Demon King Yi is better. If he can fight, then fight. There's no need to blindly compete. Even after the tournament, there are more people who directly offer their demon souls and swear allegiance to Yi Liangshan than him. Hellion Jue originally made up his mind to ruthlessly humiliate Yi Liangshan in the finals, so that he no longer has the strength to compete with him. Who knew that in the battle, he would discover that this person is the same as him, a child of a heaven-raised demon. And Hellion Jue didn't expect that announcing the news that Yi Liangshan was a spirit cultivator would actually give him a pleasant surprise. Yi Liangshan, if I didn't guess wrong, this should be your alias, right? Otherwise, how could I have never heard of you among the spirit cultivators? Hellion Jue's gaze is sharp and contains ridicule. You hid your identity, changed your name, sneaked into my demon race, and even tried to marry the princess. What are you planning? Mayan sneered. Hellion Jue, did you come to this magic crystal stage today to fight with me? Or to pry into other people's gossip like a gossipy woman? What does my identity, name, and origin have to do with you? Even if you want to investigate me, wait until I go to the Demon Imperial City. The Demon Lord will naturally investigate. Is it your turn to blindly compete? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't, then get lost. The Immortal Massacre Plaza is quiet for a moment. Then someone bursts out in laughter. Following that, laughter and whispers rise and fall. Ha ha! I like Great Demon King Ye's temperament of fighting at the slightest disagreement. Damn it! Lousy hates human spirit cultivators beating around the bush and scheming. Just now, that Hellion Jue was beating around the bush, Lousy didn't understand what he meant. It's still Demon King Ye's in mind. It's just a martial arts competition. What's the point of blindly competing? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. Ha ha! The sounds of mocking laughter and discussion entered Hellion Jue's ears, causing his face to turn ashen. He takes a deep breath, his gaze on Mu Yan becoming even colder and more tyrannical. But his voice is extremely low. Only Mu Yan can hear it. I didn't expect you to have this ability, to be able to train this group of stupid demons into docile obedience, as obedient as dogs. I originally wanted to spare your life, but unfortunately, Hellion Jue's voice became softer and softer, and his figure quickly disappeared. In the next moment, he suddenly appeared beside Mu Yan's ears. That will shatter the spirit roots and bones in your body bit by bit, and burn your magic core bit by bit. At that time, I want to see what other methods you can use to bewitch the devil race. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth slightly hooked up. Her figure didn't even move, but she lowered her eyes and said slowly, "Is that so? Let's see who will break whose bones." She suddenly turned around and grabbed the sharp claws that Hellion Jue was grabbing at her. The claws that she grabbed with her bare hands pierced into her flesh. The poison spread, and a burning pain spread throughout her body. But Mu Yan didn't even blink. She raised her hands and grabbed Hellion Jue's shoulders, making him unable to move. Chapter 4180. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find this site today. The 7 absolute swords were already waiting in the air, forming a sword net that whistled down. Hellion Jue's pupils suddenly contracted. Puff! Fresh blood splattered everywhere, and broken limbs flew everywhere. Hellion Jue rolled on the ground a few times, leaving behind bloodstains and broken limbs. Finally, he stopped beside the magic crystal platform. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Hellion Jue lost? He lost to Yi Liangshan so easily? They hadn't even recovered from the shock of knowing that Yi Liangshan was the child of a heaven-raised demon. How did Hellion Jue lose? Mu Yan slowly breathed out and threw away the broken hand in her hand. In fact, that attack just now wasn't easy for her. Hellion Jue's claw just now directly pierced through her abdomen, causing her internal organs to be seriously injured. If not for the fact that she was in the abyss right now, there was enough demonic energy to continuously stimulate the magic core to heal her injuries. She probably wouldn't be able to stand now. Moreover, Heliandra's claw was highly toxic, and it had already invaded her body. She had never refined a poison of this level, and she couldn't cure it even if she wanted to. Under the corrosion of the poison, the meridians and flesh in her body were on fire, and the pain was unbearable. Her mind gradually became chaotic, and she almost couldn't stand steadily. Others couldn't see Mu Yan's condition, but Yin Ruhan could. He walked a few steps to the magic crystal platform and anxiously waited for the host to announce the results of the competition. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Yin Ruhan only felt a strong suction coming from the void. The magic core in his body began to rotate violently and became boiling hot in an instant. And the demonic energy in his body seemed to be forcibly sucked away by something. Ugh! Yin Ruhan let out a muffled groan and slowly knelt down while holding the position of the magic core. And the others in the immortal slaughtering square were in the same situation as him. My demonic energy. Who is devouring my demonic energy? Ah, it hurts. My magic core is so hot. I can't take it anymore. Screams rose and fell in the square. One after another, the demons knelt down, and their bodies curled up into a ball. The devil chi in their bodies seemed to be absorbed by something, and then it surged towards the magic crystal platform. Tian He, who was watching this scene from a private room high above, raised his eyes and revealed a surprised expression. It turned out to be the Thousand Nights ghost hand. I didn't expect that the wolf cub of the Hellion family would know such an obscure and vicious demon race cultivation technique. TSK, he's powerful, but he's a little too cunning. His mind is as dark as that bunch of spirit cultivators. To think that I thought so highly of him back then. Heavenly River. The dignified voice of Elder Min Wei came from the magic mirage stone. What now? I was just complaining. Don't tell me you're going to meddle in this as well. Shut up. Min Wei spoke in a deep voice. You go down for me. Use the magic mirage stone to take a closer look at that kid called Yi Liangchen's face. Tianhe muttered. Isn't he just a gigolo? What was there to see? Don't tell me you're also infatuated with this kind of thing, like Shue Jie? TSK, don't. You're already so old. The veins on Min Wei's forehead throbbed as he looked at Tianhe with a sinister gaze. Just as Tianhe's hair stood on end, and he was about to say some soft words, he saw Min Wei sneer and then move his body to the side, revealing the figure of the person behind him. The one who wants to see a gigolo is not me, but Lord Demon Lord. Tianhe. Chapter 4181. Was it too late for him to swallow back what he had just said? The Lord of a mortal-slaying city had already knelt on the ground and said, Long live the Demon Lord. Tianhe swallowed his saliva and stood up from his seat. He grabbed the magic mirage stone by the window and was about to fly down. The instant Milky Way made his move, the situation on the magic crystal platform changed drastically once again. Heliandra's, who had been cut into pieces by Mu Yan's 7 absolute swords, stood up and scathed. He was holding a black flag in each of his hands. As he waved the flag, a steady stream of demonic energy gathered on his body from the immortal slaying square, causing his strength to increase at a speed visible to the naked eye. Demon Lord 7th stage, Demon Lord 8th stage, Demon Lord 9th stage, Demon Lord peak. Mu Yan's expression became more and more serious. She bit the tip of her tongue and used the pain to force her consciousness not to be eroded by the poison. Turning around, she saw that the square that was rubbing shoulders with each other just now had a large number of people lying on the ground. Even Yin Ruhan, Yu Ying, and Night Spirit had fallen to the ground with painful expressions. Night Spirit, who had a low cultivation base, had already fainted, his body twitching violently. It could be imagined that if the demonic energy in her body continued to be extracted, her demon core would not be able to withstand it and collapse. At that time, even her life would not be spared. Yi Liangchen, I originally did not intend to use this move in Immortal Slaying City. I really did not expect that you could actually force me to this step. Helianjua's tone was light and breezy, with arrogance and pride. But in fact, his mood was far from calm. The young man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. A child of a demon raised by the heavens like him. A spirit cultivator turned into a demon cultivator like him. But Yi Liangchun was younger than him by more than 100 years. Yet his strength was already so strong. If he was given a little more time. Thinking of this, Helianjua's heart was boiling with killing intent. He must completely kill this powerful competitor, so that there would never be a day for him to rise again. Helianjua raised the black flag in his hand and gently waved it twice in the air. In a split second, a sharp sound rang in the sky again. A thick red mist wraps around Mayan. Her hearing and vision were sealed once again, and her divine sense could not be extended. What was even more terrifying was that this time, it wasn't just a short moment. Mu Yan's whole body suddenly tightened, and cold sweat oozed from the palm of her hand that was holding the 7 absolute sword. The next moment, a sharp pain came from his shoulder. She abruptly turned around and swung her sword, but she did not manage to cut anything. Yi Liangchun, stop struggling. It's useless. Amidst the shrill whistling, Helianjua's voice poured directly into her mind, bringing with it a bloodthirsty and tyrannical killing intent. Even if I will be punished for violating the rules of the betrothal selection, I will definitely not allow you to live. Oh, that's right. There's also Yu and her magical pet. I remember that lowly and useless magical pet. He's her senior brother, right? Don't worry, they will join you soon. Puff. The long sword pierced through Mu Yan's chest, causing her to be unable to hold on any longer and kneel on the ground. Fresh blood dyed her clothes red and spread out on the magic crystal platform. The voice that had disappeared earlier began to enter his ears intermittently. Pain, struggle, fear, despair. Those were the cries of the demons on the immortal slaughtering square. Chapter 4182. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. So even if Helianjua used such a vicious method, as long as he did not violate the rules of the competition, no one would stop the competition. However, those demons who were implicated were innocent. Some of them had traveled thousands of miles from other main cities to support her. Some had already offered their demon souls and pledged their loyalty to her, willing to live and die with her. In Tianguang ruins, these demons unconditionally believed in her and supported her. Not to mention, there was Night Spirit, Yu Ying, and her eldest senior brother. Even if one didn't die from such a crude extraction of demonic energy, their cultivation would greatly regress, leaving behind unforgettable sequelae. What right did Helianjua have? Did he think that he could decide the life and death of others as he pleased just because he was strong and used people like chess pieces? Mu Yan's eyes gradually turned crimson, and a cold and disdainful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Fine, the strong are respected, right? Then let's see who is the true strong one. The magic core in her body began to revolve wildly. Previously, when Helianjua used Thousand Nights' ghost hands to absorb the surrounding demonic energy, only Mu Yan's demonic energy was firmly condensed around the magic core, not moving at all. It was as if Helianjua's magic core was much lower than hers, so he wasn't qualified to absorb her demonic energy. But now, Mu Yan released the demonic energy in her body without reservation. Once the demonic energy was released, it was not under Mu Yan's control. A large portion of it was swallowed by Helianjua's black flag. Helianjua couldn't help but laugh. Yi Liangchun, are you seeking death? But soon, he couldn't laugh anymore, because the demonic energy that Mu Yan released was becoming more and more pure and thick. In just a short moment, the demonic energy that pervaded the surroundings was even more than what Helianjua had absorbed previously. In the sky, there was a faint moving sound of a zither. As the sound of the zither sounded, the demonic energy that pervaded the magic crystal platform no longer gathered on Helianjua's body. Instead, as if it was being gently controlled by a hand, it surged towards the already collapsed people on the Immortal Massacre Square. Helianjua's face was full of shock as he looked in disbelief at the youth with long hair and clothes fluttering in the wind. His voice was actually trembling. Who are you? Why is it that a 5th-level devil master like you can actually use divine power? Yes, divine power. What Mu Yin releases is a devil chi as majestic as the sea. However, what was truly used to control the demonic chi to contend against Helianjua and feed it back to the demons in the immortal slaughtering city was divine power. At this moment, the devil energy that Mayan is frantically releasing finally breaks through the space of the Tian Mo Chin. It also breaks through the Tian Mo Chin's space's imprisonment seal on devil chi. Neo martial arts skill, limitless demon Dao, activated. At the same time, all the Shun musician skills can be activated with demonic energy. On the immortal slaying square, the people who were in so much pain that they wished they were dead felt a wave of pure and thick demonic chi enter their bodies. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, the magic cores in their bodies began to recover. This strand of demonic chi was completely different from their original demonic chi, but after it entered their bodies, not only did their demon cores not reject it, they even happily accepted it. In just a short period of time, their bodies had recovered to their original state, and their cultivation had even increased slightly. No one knew what was happening. They stood up in confusion and looked at the stage. Then, they saw an unforgettable scene. On top of the magic crystal platform, 3 people appeared. One was Helianjua, whose face was filled with shock and amazement. One was Yi Liangchun, who was coldly standing with the 7 absolutes sword in his hand. And the last one. Chapter 4183. Her sleeves fluttered, her fine black hair fluttered. Her slender hands plucked the strings of the zither, producing melodious music. It was that music that sent demonic energy into their bodies, restoring them to their original state. The simulated dazzling sunlight of the immortal slaughtering city fell on the youth's face, illuminating his incomparably handsome appearance. And that appearance was almost exactly the same as Yi Liangchen. No, that's not right either. The youth in midair had even more exquisite facial features, and his skin was even more jade-like. He was clearly dressed as a man, but people almost mistook him for a devastatingly beautiful woman. Is what was going on? How could there be 2 Yi Liangchen? Only Yin Ruhan let out a long sigh, feeling relieved, because he recognized that it was the Shun musician's skill, heavy phantom, and the difference in strength between the junior sister with the Tian Mo Chin and the junior sister without the zither was like heaven and earth. Helianjua had no chance of winning. On the magic crystal platform, for the first time, fear and horror appeared on Helianjua's face. He waved the black flag in his hand with all his might, wanting to snatch the demonic energy from Mu Yan. But as the melodious music resounded, his hand that was waving the flag became heavier and heavier. His whole body seemed to be bound by something, unable to move. But the magic core in his body was spinning faster and faster, even becoming hotter and hotter. It wasn't just his demonic energy that was being taken away, even his magic core was being consumed little by little. If this continued, he wouldn't just lose, but his cultivation would directly drop by a large realm. Helianjua was shocked and afraid. His heart was filled with resentment and unwillingness, but he had no choice but to compromise. Losing the competition was better than losing his cultivation or even his life. He gritted his teeth and raised his voice. I admit defeat. As his voice fell, the magic crystal platform emitted a burst of light. The man who was floating in the air stopped playing and slowly descended to the ground. He merged with Yap Liangchun, who was on the ground. Mu Yan disliked Helianjua very much, but since it was a competition, she had to follow the rules of the competition. Since the other party admitted defeat, she had no interest in killing him. The immortal slaughtering square fell into a strange silence. After a moment, there was a burst of earth-shattering cheers and discussions. Helianjua admitted defeat. He actually admitted defeat so quickly and so cowardly. So what if I don't admit defeat? Just now you all saw it too. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate when facing great demon King Yi. Helianjua was the one who extracted the demonic chi from our bodies just now. Now we deserve to lose. What is that zither in Demon King Ye's hands? Why do I feel that the more I listen, the purer and more comfortable the devil chi in my body is? Me too. Aya, what are you guys talking about? The leader of our immortal slaying city is here. Everyone shouted out. Who is it? Demon King Yi. Long live Demon King Yi. Helianjua stared at the youth in front of him, his fingernails digging into his flesh, fresh blood dripping down from the gaps between his fingers. How could he lose? He shouldn't have lost. Yap Liang Chun, who the hell are you? Mu Yin doesn't even pay attention to him. She goes straight to the host of the competition and takes the transmission token. However, at this moment, a cry of surprise came from behind her. Watch out! Helianjua, what are you doing? Mu Yin's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly turned around and saw that Helianjua's figure had already soared into the sky. Holding a long sword, he transformed into a black stream of light and pounced towards Yun Ruhan. Chapter 4184. She took a step forward, activating Lotus Steps. Her figure disappeared like a phantom, pouncing towards Helianjua. Pucci! The long sword pierced through his heart, stopping Helianjua's movements. Mu Yin looked coldly at his crazed expression, her voice sounding like it came from the yellow springs of hell, carrying an eerie chill. Helianjua, you're courting death. Just as she finished speaking, a ball of fire sprang up on the 7 absolute sword, spreading to the entire blade. Helianjua immediately let out a wretched scream, desperately trying to escape. However, it was as if the sword had grown into his flesh and blood, and he was unable to break free at all. The burning flames started to consume his flesh bit by bit, even his magic core. Helianjua's face finally revealed an expression of fear and despair. Let go of me. You want to burn my magic core? Do you know who I am? You dare to kill me. Mu Yin released the hand holding the 7 absolute sword, sneered, and turned to look at Yun Ruhan. Eldest Shixiang, are you all right? She would not allow the people of the Xiao Yao sect to be harmed in any way. Yun Ruhan's cultivation was very high, but it was in the direction of spiritual cultivation. In the hidden abyss, spiritual energy and immortal energy could not be absorbed. Only demonic energy was left. As a result, Yun Ruhan's strength had only reached level 1 demon guard after cultivating and taking the demonic elixir in this period of time. If a small demon guard was hit by Helianjua, his magic core could crack. How could Mu Yin not be angry? She had already given him a yard on the magic crystal platform. Now that he wanted to seek his own death, he could not blame her for being ruthless. The flame on the 7 absolute sword was the golden crow fire that could burn most of the energy in the world. The bodies of the MO were tough and could be reborn infinitely. But under the burning of the golden crow fire, they could not resist, and their magic core was burned to death. Yun Ruhan saw the worry and fear in Mu Yan's eyes and said softly, I'm fine. Little Shimmy does not need to worry. No matter what, I am still your eldest Shixiao. Even if I am not as talented as you, I am not as weak as you think. As the two spoke, Helianjua's wretched screams grew louder, and the golden crow fire had spread to his entire body. Finally, someone could no longer sit still. Yiliang Chun, stop right now. If this goes on, then do you intend to go against the rules of the groom selection and kill the young master? An old man hurried forward. The old man wanted to go forward and pull out the golden crow fire, but found that he could not touch it. The golden crow fire was driven by Shan power and had recognized a master. Even though the old man's cultivation had reached the 9th level of MO master, he could not control the golden crow fire. The old man's face was ashen. He looked at Mu Yin and said anxiously, Did you hear that? Why aren't you stopping? Mayan sneers. So what if I don't stop? When Helianjua killed my eldest senior brother, did he think of the consequences? If you have the guts to do it, you must have the guts to bear the consequences. The old man gritted his teeth and said, According to the rules of the betrothal contest, the contestants are not allowed to kill each other. Do you want to disobey the demon venerable's order? I'm sorry. Those who haven't been eliminated are the true participants. Didn't Hellion Joie admit defeat just now? Furthermore, if attacking any of the participants is considered a violation of the rules, then what about Hellion Joie's evil forbidden technique on the Magic Crystal stage? Chapter 4185. Of course. I almost thought I was dead. Damn it. He absorbed our demonic chi to repair his body. He's shameless. I'm also a contestant. Muyin spread her hands at the old man and revealed a mocking smile. The old man was so angry that his face turned purple. He gritted his teeth and said, "Do you know that Hellion Joie is the only son of my master, the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1, Hellion Guan Yu? Since you killed my young master, my master won't let you off." The mocking smile on Mu Yan's face deepened. He's here to compete with his father. Fine, I'll kill him first. Let's see how Hellion Guan Yu will look for me then. Before she could finish speaking, a dazzling light flew over from the sky. With a loud bang, the light landed on the Seven Absolutes sword. The Seven Absolutes sword trembled and fell from Hellion Joie's body. The golden crow fire was also extinguished. Soon after, everyone saw a tall figure appear beside Hellion Joie and support him. Hellion Joie was already on the verge of death. The skin on his chest and the internal organs in his abdomen were badly mutilated by the flames. He opened his eyes in a daze and shouted, "Father!" Then he spat out a mouthful of blood. When the demons on the immortal slaying square heard the word "Father," they gasped. The man in front of them was actually the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1, Hellion Guan Yu. Those demons who supported Yi Liangshan all had worried expressions on their faces. There were many rumors about Hellion Guan Yu. It was said that he was one of the few trusted subordinates who followed the Demon Emperor to conquer the world. He should have been called a demon general like Tianhe, Jiutong, and the others. However, because he made a big mistake, he was punished, and his cultivation base could not advance anymore. He could only be called the captain of the Blood Demon Team. Nonetheless, Hellion Guan Yu's strength was unfathomable, and he was extremely shrewd. His style was not like a demon cultivator, but a spirit cultivator. Based on the straightforward character of the demons, they preferred Yu and Wu Lei, who were equally clear about their likes and dislikes, and did not beat around the bush. Nonetheless, no one dared to speak ill of Guan Yu behind his back. This was because it did not matter to Yu and the others who were casually criticized. Those who insulted Captain Guan Yu in public would eventually die a miserable death. They would die silently, and nobody would be able to tell the reason. Devils were straight, but they were not stupid. As time passed, nobody dared to talk about Guan Yu behind her back anymore. It was even said that many elite demons in the Demon Blood Guards had been won over by him because of his various means. Guan Yu's love for her only son, Hellion Joie, was also well known. In the past, the Immortal Slaying City had produced some extremely talented individuals. However, the moment they threatened Hellion Joie's reputation and prestige, they would also be silently dealt with. When everyone thought of how Mu Yan had severely injured Hellion Guan Yu's son in front of her, and how she had lost all face, they couldn't help but sweat for their demon king Yi. The Seven Absolutes' sword had returned to Mu Yan's hand. Her entire body was tense as she looked at the tall man in front of her. In terms of appearance, Hellion Guan Yu and Hellion Joie were about the same age, and their facial features were somewhat similar. In terms of their magic cores, there was only a difference of 1 or 2 small realms between them. However, the murderous aura between Hellion Guan Yu's eyebrows and the pressure around her body were much stronger than Hellion Joie's. At this moment, Hellion Joie had come back to his senses. He sensed that his cultivation base had fallen by a large realm, and he had become a demon guard that he looked down upon in the past. He could not help but feel grief and indignation, and he was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. Chapter 4186. Father, Father, you must avenge me. Kill Yi Liangshan, avenge me. Hellion Ming Yu said solemnly. Don't worry, Zhe. Father will definitely make her pay you back 10 times. 100 times for the pain and humiliation you suffered today. Helianjua's eyes were filled with excitement. His body trembled, and he finally couldn't hold on any longer and fainted. Only then did Helian Guanyu look at Mu Yin and Yun Ruhan. When he glanced at Yun Ruhan, a dark glint flashed across his eyes. Lady Guanyu, you can't do anything to Yi Liangchen. He's going to participate. Yuing hurriedly rushed out and wanted to stop Helian Guanyu. But before she could finish her words, it was as if someone was strangling her throat. Her face turned purple, and she could no longer make a sound. Helian Guanyu acted as if she had not noticed Yu Ying's existence at all. While smiling faintly, he approached Mu Yin. Today I, Helian Guanyu, killed the human spy who harmed my son, not the choice of the princess's son-in-law. All of you can testify for me on this point. The old man who had just rushed out to stop Mu Yin had a smug look on his face. He said loudly, Lord, you've never seen Yap Liangchen before. You have no idea who the contestant for the betrothal contest is. My lord is just angry and heartbroken that the young master was harmed by the treacherous human race. So he must seek justice for his son. I'm sure everyone here can testify with me. Otherwise, just treat them as spies of spirit cultivators and deal with them. This was simply a blatant reversal of black and white and a threat. Everyone on the immortal slaying square had ugly expressions on their faces. They wanted to say something, but just like Yuing, they were unable to speak, as if someone was strangling their throats. As Helian Xianyuan moved forward, her cold gaze swept back and forth between Mu Yin and Yun Ruhan. His voice is concentrated into a bundle, and only Mayan and Yun Ruhan's ears can hear it. I heard that Yue has a whole new level of respect for you too. I wonder how she will react if I throw your corpses in front of her. After Yu returned to the Demon Blood Guards, she began to attack Helian Guanyu's team. Her method was very simple. That was to send out the members of the 3rd Blood Demon Squad to challenge the members of the 1st Blood Demon Squad. All of these devils who were challenged were trusted subordinates of Helian Guanyu. In the end, they were all crippled after a decisive battle. However, Helian Guanyu didn't dare to touch Yu at all, and her subordinates couldn't be as strong and fearless as Yu's confidants. Helian Guanyu's killing intent towards Yu was already like a torrential flood, rolling endlessly. Even if Helian Jua hadn't been crippled, he would still have taken the opportunity to make things difficult for Yu today. He had received news that Yu was infatuated with these 2 kids, especially that little demon soldier called Yun Ruhan, who had killed the confidant he had painstakingly planted, allowing Yu to escape. Today he would settle all the old and new debts together. A small axe appeared in Helian Guanyu's hand. With a swing of the axe, a cloud of black mist immediately appeared in the air and flew towards Mu Yin and Yun Ruhan. Mu Yin quickly used Holy Hand's weaver to create a sound wall that enveloped her, Yun Ruhan, and Night Spirit within. With a loud bang, the sound wall shattered. Chapter 4187. Mu Yin, who was the support of the barrier, was not much better. Her face was pale and her body swayed slightly, but her movements of playing the Tian Mo Qin became faster and faster. Night Spirit was already in a daze. If Mu Yin hadn't enveloped her with her divine sense and stabilized her divine soul, she, a small demon soldier, would have already exploded and died. Liangchen, what should we do? What should we do now? How about we give all the healing pills to him? At least we'll have a chance of survival. This silly girl thought that Helian Guanyu would let them off if she gave him the pills to treat Helian Jua. Mu Yin plucked the strings and created a sound barrier to cover Night Spirit. She said in a deep voice, Night Spirit, retreat further away. If I'm unfortunately defeated, take the remaining Mabe back to Bloodflame City. Yi Liangchen, Night Spirit was almost crying. Have you forgotten? You still have to look for your father. Are you willing to die, just like that? Don't push me out and let me watch you die. I might as well die with you. Night Spirit cried and wanted to pounce back, but she was trapped in the sound barrier and pushed further and further away. Mu Yin and Yun Ruhan looked at each other. Yun Ruhan smiled. Little junior sister, don't think about pushing me away. Mu Yin smiled as well. That was because she knew that just like how she wouldn't sit idly by and watch someone hurt her fellow disciples, her eldest senior brother wouldn't let her face danger alone. Even if Yin Ruhan's cultivation was pitifully low in the abyss. Even if both of them might die here today. Mu Yin took a deep breath, and her eyes were filled with determination. Her fingers quickly plucked the strings of the zither and activated Phantom Shadow. Another figure slowly appeared. Since there was no way out, they would fight to the death. Heli and Guan Yu looked at their actions and couldn't help but sneer. Do you want to struggle on your deathbed? Do you think I'm sure? Do you think a fifth-rank demon master like you can fight against me? He, the dark horse of the marriage selection, Demon King Yi, the most popular candidate for the princess's husband. Yi Liangchun, I'll let you know today that in my eyes, you're just an ant. If I want you to live, you can live. If I want you to die, you'll die. The moment she spoke, the demonic chi around Heli and Guan Yu suddenly surged. Strong gales swept across the immortal slaughtering square. All the spectating devils retreated in fear. Is this the strength of a demon lord? This is clearly a devil general. Can Yi Liangchun be saved? Demon King Yi is the leader of the immortal slaughtering city, and he's going to participate in the heavenly enchantment banquet's prince consort selection. Could it be that no one in the immortal slaughtering city did anything and allowed Heli and Guan Yu to kill him? Shut up. Are you crazy? That's Lord Helion we're talking about, the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1, who in the immortal slaying city can stop him. As the demonic chi in Helion Liu's body skyrocketed, the axe in his hand suddenly became huge and emitted a dazzling red light. Wherever the red light swept across, the magic crystal platform, which was hard enough to withstand a blow from the Seven Absolute's sword, shattered inch by inch. Fine beads of sweat seep out of Mayan's forehead, and blood also overflows from the corners of her mouth. The hands controlling the Tian and Mo Qin are already riddled with scars, almost unable to move. This was under the hidden abyss. There was only demonic chi, no spiritual power or immortal power. She hadn't fully mastered the Tian and Mo Qin, which was controlled by demonic chi and couldn't even exert half of the strength of a Shen musician. Chapter 4188. In the battle with Heli and Jua, just now, in order to save the demons on the immortal massacre plaza, she had almost used up all of her divine power. Now that she was facing Heli and Guan Yu, she was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Therefore, the only way was to use his remaining divine power to fuse with all the demonic energy in his body and unleash a big move. Limitless demonic Tao. However, the activation of the limitless demonic way required time. Heli and Guan Yu would not give her such a chance. Yin Ruhan had obviously noticed this as well. Therefore, the moment Heli and Guan Yu swung her giant axe, he rushed forward without hesitation. Without spiritual energy, the Ice Soul sword could not be used. The only thing he could use was his flesh and blood body. But Yin Ruhan was just a small demon guard. Mayan's eyes suddenly widened, her fingers almost playing the wrong rhythm. Bang! The giant axe fell, and blood splattered everywhere. Eldest brother, Yin Ruhan was almost cleaved in two by the giant axe. Although the demon core did not shatter, it no longer had the strength to resist. Heli and Guan Yu laughed out loud, and the giant axe returned to his hand. He soared into the sky and dove down towards Mu Yin. Yi Liangchun, you're next. I've said it before, if you dare hurt my son, I'll make you pay 10 times, 100 times over. Everyone on the immortal slaying square widened their eyes and mouths. Their faces were filled with terror and despair. Was Yap going to die? Just like that, he died miserably and sullenly at the hands of Heli and Guan Yu. However, right at this moment, an explosive shout came from the sky. Heli and Guan Yu, you're courting death. What was that sound? Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and looked over. A figure descended from the sky like lightning and pounced towards Heli and Guan Yu. As he descended, his entire body ignited with flames, illuminating the square that had been darkened by the gale. At the same time, the demons finally saw the face of the newcomer. Milky Way. It was the Sky River Demon General. Why is the Sky River Demon General here? Everyone's faces were first filled with shock, followed by ecstasy. So this competition was actually hosted by the Sky River Demon General. In this way, could Demon Kingy be saved? Sky River Demon General, faster, faster. We must save Demon Kingy. However, in the next moment, the hope on everyone's faces turned into astonishment. This was because Tianhe, who was diving down rapidly in mid-air, had actually stopped moving. He was suspended in mid-air, his mouth slightly agape as he looked down in shock. What happened? Why hadn't the Sky River Demon General gone to save Demon Kingy? Why would he have such an expression? All the demons on the immortal slaying square turned their heads and looked over, returning their gazes to their original position. In the next moment, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air. His knees went weak, and he fell to the ground on his butt. Some people rubbed their eyes again and again, but they still couldn't believe what they saw. Next to the broken magic crystal platform, Helian Guanyu, who had been overflowing with arrogance just a moment ago, was floating in mid-air. His neck seemed to be choked by something, and a painful expression appeared on his face. Dash! A shrill scream came out of his mouth. Then he saw that Helian Guanyu's hand, which was holding the axe, was forcibly torn off by an invisible force. The wind was still howling, and clouds, mist, and dust swirled around the square. But everyone still slowly saw the scene below clearly. After Helian Guanyu's right hand was torn off, it slowly descended and fell into a slender hand. Chapter 4189. The owner of the hand was dressed in black. He was tall and slender, and his long hair was draped behind him. Although the wind was howling, it couldn't be blown away at all. Helian Guanyu, who did you just say you wanted to repay 10 times or 100 times? The man slowly raised his head. His slightly demonic and cold eyes revealed a casual killing intent. His gaze fell on Helian Guanyu. Did you just use this hand to hurt her? As soon as he finished speaking, Helian Guanyu's broken arm in his hand suddenly exploded. Not even blood was left behind. Helian Guanyu, who was bound in midair, had a twisted face because of the pain. But there was more fear and disbelief in his eyes. His lips trembled, and it took him a long time to utter a trembling voice. Demon. Demon Lord, why are you here? Whoosh! The word Demon Lord was a huge stone thrown into a boiling temptation. The entire immortal slaughtering square exploded. Demon Lord! Demon Lord! It turned out that the Demon Lord had come in person. How could this be? What the hell happened? The demons on the square were going crazy. They wanted to shout and kneel down, but found that they were too excited that their bodies were stiff and trembling, and they couldn't move at all. The only one who could still react was Tianhe. After a moment of daze, he slowly descended and knelt in front of Jun Shirtian. Greetings, Demon Lord. He wanted to ask why the Demon Lord had come. It only took a moment to travel from the Demon Imperial City to the Immortal Slaughtering City with the teleportation token. But the Demon Lord obviously didn't come like this, because the teleportation location set by the teleportation token was usually the periphery of the main city, not the center of the square. And the Demon Lord was still on the other side of the Mirage Stone a moment ago, but now he suddenly appeared here. There was only one possibility, and that was that he didn't care about the loss of his cultivation, tore the space, and directly teleported to the immortal slaughtering city. Tianhe glanced at Mu Yin and didn't ask the question that was on the tip of his tongue. As talkative as he was, he couldn't help but feel dizzy and unable to think. Thinking of what Elder Min Wei had said, he couldn't help but look at Mu Yin again, swallow his saliva, and suppress the shock that filled his heart with great difficulty. While Tianhe was letting his imagination run wild, Helian Guanyu's other hand and feet had already been torn off by Jun Shirtian. Even if the demon's body could be reborn, Helian Guanyu was in so much pain that she wished she was dead. She wailed in pain and begged for mercy. What terrified Helian Guanyu the most was that as the pain spread, the demon Venerable's powerful demonic chi seeped into his body and crushed his demon core with a domineering and sharp aura, causing his many years of cultivation to be directly consumed. Helian Guan Yu could not take it anymore and cried loudly, Fiend exalt! Fiend exalt! I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have attacked the candidate for the princess's son-in-law, but I was also angry that he injured my son, so I couldn't help but retaliate. It wasn't easy for a heaven-raised devil to have a child. My son, Helian Jua, was originally a heaven-bestowed genius. But now, he has been destroyed by him. That's why I acted out of anger. Please understand, Demon Venerable. Please forgive me. Jun Shirtian chuckled and said faintly, I understand you and agree with your actions. Helian Guan Yu had just relaxed. She heard the man below continue, because I'm also doing the same thing. Jun Shirtian's voice was low and cold, as if it came from the depths of hell, carrying a bone-piercing chill. Whoever dares to hurt my daughter, I will naturally make him pay 1,000 times over. Chapter 4190. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. The whole place was dead silent. In fact, it was completely silent. But at this moment, it was so quiet that only the sound of the wind could be heard. Even the sound of breathing and clothes rubbing against the ground seemed to have disappeared. Helian Guan Yu's eyes were wide open, her whole body stiff. She looked at Jun Shirtian and then at Mu Yan. After a long time, she asked in a trembling voice, Demon Lord, what did you just say? This sentence was also what all the demons on the immortal slaughtering square wanted to ask. Lord Demon Lord, what are you talking about? In the dead silence, Elder Min Wei, who came through the teleportation token, hurried over. As soon as he landed on the magic crystal platform, he looked at Mu Yan. Then his eyes suddenly turned red. Elder Min Wei, who was high up in the whole hidden abyss, held the Blood Demon Commander's decree, commanded thousands of demon troops, and no one could contend against him except Demon Lord Jun Shirtian, suddenly stepped forward and knelt down on one knee without hesitation. Min Wei pays respect to Her Royal Highness. His voice was hoarse and trembling, containing infinite vicissitudes and hope. Tears almost rolled down from his eyes. Her Royal Highness, we finally found you. The sound of the wind blew past everyone's ears. Everyone was dumbstruck as they looked at the scene on the magic crystal platform. They looked at each other and looked at each other. They all felt that they should be in a dream. Yes, they must have been under an illusion, and then they heard it wrong. Haha, Yi Liangchun is Demon King Yi. He is the love demon in the dreams of many women in the hidden abyss. Some of them followed him all the way from Red Star City. They watched helplessly as the originally unremarkable teenager cut through all obstacles and became the most popular candidate for the princess's son-in-law. But now, Elder Min Wei told them, the princess's son-in-law they thought was actually the demon princess? Are you fucking kidding us? In fact, Mu Yan was even more confused than those demons. She looked at Min Wei, who was kneeling in front of her, completely unable to come back to her senses. Oh, it's not just Min Wei anymore. When Tianhe saw Elder Min Wei kneeling in front of the princess, he quickly gave up paying respect to the demon lord and followed suit. However, the expression on his face was still somewhat magical. This is Her Highness? You must be joking. In order to find the princess, they had almost turned the entire hidden abyss upside down, but the princess had actually disguised herself as a man to participate in their betrothal contest. Most importantly, she was just a little girl in her early 20s, and she hadn't even practiced the devil race's cultivation method for 2 days. He had defeated tens of thousands of devilish elites in the betrothal election to become one of the final 4 candidates. At the thought of this, Tianhe could not help but feel dizzy. Should I say that Her Royal Highness is indeed the princess? Marry myself. My prince consort was defeated by me. The more Tian he thought about it, the more shocked he became. The more he thought about it, the more his heart surged. Even his gaze towards Mayan changed from shock to worship. After Tian He, the first person to react was the city lord of a mortal-slaying city. At this moment, his mind was in a mess. His ears were ringing wildly. Why is the demon lord here? Why is Elder Min Wei here? Why is Her Highness here as well? How could the princess be Yap Liangchun? But this did not prevent him from seeing the situation clearly. He knelt on the ground and loudly said, "Greetings to Her Royal Highness." Mayan. Chapter 4191. Mayan find her voice after a long while, frowning. "You've got the wrong person, right? What princess? What does it have to do with her?" As soon as her voice falls, the man in black in front of her slowly turns around. The moment she sees the man, Mayan's heart suddenly jumps, as if she was hit by something. She obviously hasn't seen this man before, but he inexplicably feels very familiar, as if this face has been engraved in the depths of her soul. Mayan frowns slightly, opening her mouth. "Who are you?" Jun Shirtian raises his left hand. A piece of vermilion jade falls from his hand, gently swaying in the air, emitting a faint red light. The next moment, Mayan feels the blood in her body boiling along with the flickering red light of the vermilion jade. Magic Core Blood Jade. This is the Magic Core Blood Jade that is connected to her life and soul. But this is not the one she gave to Di Ming-ju. Then there's only Mayan's pupils suddenly shrink, staring at the man in front of her. After a long while, she says in a low, hoarse voice, "You are Jun Shiyuan?" Jun Shirtian's eyes flash, whispering. This was the alias of this Zun's previous life. "This Zun is Jun Shiyuan, and you're this Zun's biological daughter." Mayan's hands suddenly clench into fists, almost unable to control her emotions. Elder Min Wei hurriedly says, "Your Highness, the demon lord lost part of his memory in the mortal world and forgot about your existence. Until 2 years ago, he suddenly remembered. We tried our best to find your existence, including setting up a marriage contract for you. We wanted to find a chance to be linked to you through the 3 lives stone marriage contract." Mayan listens numbly. The scene before Ning Yinxin's death unconsciously appeared in her mind, until Elder Min Wei's long-winded voice reaches her ears. She suddenly widens her eyes and almost blurts out, "You said you set up a marriage contract for me with the 3 lives stone? Contract? Who is the other party of the contract?" Elder Min Wei didn't expect her to pay attention to this matter first. He stares blankly. "It's His Highness Luo Yunxiao of the Nether Realm. Your Highness may not know this person. Although he's not famous, he's extremely talented. But if you really don't like him, Princess." Muyin only felt a buzzing sound in her mind, and it instantly went blank. Her body swayed slightly. She could no longer support herself and fainted. Muyin awoke from her deep and dark dream, and Yun Ruhan's joyful voice rang in her ears. "Junior sister, you're awake?" Mayan opens her eyes and meets Yun Ruhan's worried face. She pressed her temples and slowly sat up. She looked tired and confused. What happened? What is this place? The surroundings were obviously much more luxurious and elegant than the inn they were staying in. Seeing that she was fine, Yun Ruhan heaved a sigh of relief. "This is the immortal slaughtering city's city lord manor, little junior sister." He paused for a moment before continuing, "Don't you remember what happened at the immortal slaying plaza?" Yun Ruhan's words brought back the memories in her mind. Jun Shirtian is her biological father, Jun Shiyuan, and she was the demon princess. The person who signed a marriage contract with her was youngest martial uncle. Mu Yin pressed her temples again, only to feel a burst of irritation and pain. She couldn't help but look at Yun Ruhan. Am I really the demon princess? The demon princess that she once scolded for having no taste and being a weirdo. Chapter 4192. At this moment, Mu Yin only felt a burst of pain on her face. What in the world was going on? How could Jun Shiyuan be the demon, Lord Jun Shirtian? You can't make a joke like this. Thinking of this blunder, Yin Ruhan couldn't help but laugh. Marrying yourself and participating in your own marriage selection. I'm afraid this is the first time in the world. Junior sister, you really don't take the usual path. Mu Yin glared at Yin Ruhan, then couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, the 4th sister and little 7 were not here. Otherwise, she would be laughed to death. The point was, how could she have thought that the demon princess, who was famous for being noble and arrogant, who wanted to get all the handsome men in the world in her bed, who couldn't wait to open the 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, would be herself? How could she slander her reputation like this? After laughing, Yin Ruhan solemnly asked, Junior sister, the people of the demon clan have been waiting outside, not daring to come in. What's your next plan? Mu Yin was startled and also put away her messy thoughts. I want to see the demon lord alone. Hearing her call him the demon lord instead of her father, Yin Ruhan sighed softly. He stood up and patted her shoulder. No matter what decision you make, eldest senior brother will support you. And he paused, then continued, whether you marry Instructor Mo in the future or become the demon princess, the Xiaoyao sect will always be your home. Mu Yan's eyes became hot, and she said hoarsely, I know, senior brother. She knew a long time ago that the Xiaoyao sect would always be her home. No matter who or where, no one could replace it. Not long after Yin Ruhan left, Jun Shitian pushed open the door and came in. Mu Yin looked at her biological father, and her mind was slightly distracted. Mu Yan's eyes and eyebrows were like her mother Ning Yanxin. Her face shape was completely different from the two of them. It was reasonable to say that she and Jun Shiyuan should not have any similarities. But the moment Mu Yin saw him, she felt that he was familiar. Even in the unclean abyss, when Huanglang felt that she was similar to Jun Shiyuan at first glance. She used to think that Jun Shiyuan did not care about his daughter's life. But now he knew. Jun Shiyuan, or Jun Shitian, cared. But so what? As a father, he left her with her adoptive father and didn't care about her at all. He allowed her to be bullied in her previous life, lose her child, and die without a complete corpse. She could accept all of this because Jun Shiyuan probably didn't want to lose his memories. But what about Ning Yanxin? When she thought of her mother, who had watched her husband leave her in the Great Array, Mu Yin felt as if she was suffocating in her chest, making her almost unable to breathe. Jun Shitian is obviously not used to interacting with her. His expression is cold, and he is speechless for a long time. In fact, the demon lord was so nervous that his palms were sweating. He didn't know what to say. After a long while, he finally said, Tomorrow, you will follow me back to Imperial Palace, Missouri. Mu Yin took a deep look at him and didn't say anything. She said slowly, Do you still remember Ning Yanxin? Jun Shitian's body trembled slightly. His sweaty palms felt cold. He steadied his emotions and said faintly, I know that she is your mother. However, I can't remember many things that happened in the mortal world. Is she still alive? Mu Yin smiled gently. There was sadness and mockery in her laughter. Don't you remember? Yes, she's just a passerby in your mortal world. Chapter 4193. A dignified demon lord, a supreme being who has all the beauties in the world. How could he remember a passerby in the Xiojin continent? A dispensable love. Jun Shitian subconsciously wants to refute, but there's a piercing pain in his body. He can't tell if it's the pain in his magic core or the pain in his divine soul. But he doesn't want to lose his composure in front of his daughter, so he straightens his back and doesn't show any signs of it. Mu Yin takes a deep breath and suppresses the surging emotions in her heart. Fortunately, the heavenly magic zither's space has been opened, and the things inside can be taken out. She throws a bronze bell with blood patterns to Jun Shitian's hand. The bell emitted a tinkling sound in the air and landed in Jun Shitian's hand. Mu Yin says in a hoarse voice, You can rest assured that Ning Yanxin is dead. No one will ask you to be responsible for a love affair in the mortal world. She sneers. This is the blood pattern bell she left behind after her death. Although you may not want it, I think it's best to give it to you. If you really don't like it, don't throw it away. Just give it back to me. There's one more thing that Ning Yanxin asked me to tell you. She said, the rise and fall of fate, destiny, is determined. I don't hate him, but I hope that I will never meet Jun Changjue again. After Mu Yin says this, she sees that the man in front of her is holding the blood pattern bell tightly and doesn't speak for a long time. She feels that there's something wrong with Jun Shitian's state. But before she can see it clearly, Jun Shitian says coldly, I know. Then he quickly disappears from the room. Ever since Yin Ruhan informed everyone that Mu Yin has woken up, Min Wei and Tianhe have been waiting anxiously in the room. When he sees Jun Shirtian, Elder Min Wei immediately greets him. Demon Lord, Her Royal Highness has agreed to return with us. Demon Lord, Demon Lord, what's wrong with you? Jun Shirtian almost falls as soon as he lands on the ground. His whole body curls up into a ball and trembles violently. As he trembles, the blood pattern bell in his hand seems to make jingling sounds. It's like a wail of blood. A low chuckle escaped from his throat. However, this laughter was incomparably desolate and despairing, and it also carried a deep-rooted hatred. Accompanied by the melancholy bell, it simply made people feel flustered and sad. At this moment, countless voices and images were crazily pouring into Jun Shirtian's mind. Love was as unpredictable as the wind and snow, but it would die with a single move. My name is Jun Shi. Hey, don't go. Since I told you my name, shouldn't you tell me yours as well? Ning Yanxin, why don't you smile? I think you must look good when you smile. Miss Ning, I thought I've made myself clear enough. As for me, I liked you from the first time I saw you. In this life, I, Jun Shiyuan, will either be a bachelor or marry you. I don't seek to be with you. I only wish to accompany you to the ends of the earth. In Xin, you're willing to sleep with me, but you're not willing to marry me. But I still think of you as my wife. I, Jun Shiyuan, swear that I will only love you in this life. In Xin, we have a child. I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a father. In Xin, you don't know how happy I am. May there be years to look back on, and we will grow old together. Chapter 4194. Ancestor, don't forget the promise you made to me. Let go of Jun Shiyuan and let him leave the floating island safely. I am willing to enter the flowing goblin pond as a sacrifice for the Ning family. Ning Yanxin, how dare you enter the flowing goblin pond? How dare you? Yanxin, I beg you, don't leave me. You are my soul, embryonic light, and my three physical forms, Dead Dog, Hidden Arrow, and Sparrowine. Now that you have gone through all the tribulations in the mortal world, why don't you return quickly? Jun Shirtian laughed, but tears came out from the corners of his eyes. His laughter gradually turned into a low murmur and call. Ning Yanxin, Ning Yanxin, Yanxin, how could I forget you? How could I forget you? At this moment, one soul and one physical form finally returned. But the extreme sorrow and hatred for herself almost made her 3 souls and 7 physical forms collapse. She said, I don't hate him. I only hope that in this lifetime, I will never see Jun Changjue again. Jun Shirtian, who do you think you are? How could you watch her fall into the hell rebirth array and do nothing? How could you forget Ning Yanxin, whom you loved as much as your life? She missed you so much that she broke up with you. So, she doesn't want you anymore. She doesn't want to see you anymore. Jun Shirtian, what do you have left after losing her? Thick demonic energy surged out of Jun Shirtian's body as if it was boiling. The entire Castellan mansion and even the Immortal Massacre City shook violently. Minwei reacted very quickly. He quickly set up a barrier to lock Jun Shirtian's violent demonic energy inside. But it could only be locked for a while, not for too long. Tianhe was about to go crazy. Demon Venerable! Elder Minwei, what is going on? How did Demon Venerable become like this? Where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? I will go find the doctor in the Castellan. No. Min Wei didn't have time to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. We can't let any demons know the condition of Demon Venerable's body. Min Wei wanted to smash Tianhe's stupid head with a slap. In a place like the Demon Clan, where the strong were respected, if people knew that the devil chi in the honored Demon Lord's body had gone berserk and his divine soul had been greatly damaged, what awaited him would not only be the worry of the devil race in the abyss, but also the restlessness of those who wanted to seize power. Then what should we do? Why don't we go back to the Demon Imperial City now? Elder Min Wei's face turned pale, but he shook his head with a bitter smile and said, It's too late. Suppressing Demon Lord for another 15 minutes is already my limit, and during the teleportation process, I won't be able to suppress the rampaging devil chi. Demon Lord will destroy the teleportation array, and by then, we'll all be lost in the turbulence of space. This won't do, that won't do. What should we do? Tian has smashed the table and chair with a violent punch. How did the honor demon become like this? Is it because of the princess? With this reminder, Min Wei thought of something and hurriedly said, Quickly invite Her Highness over. Remember to be nice, do you hear me? Mu Yin looks at Jun Shitian. Her expression is indescribably complicated. The high and mighty Devil Lord was no longer as cold and aloof as he was just now in front of her. At this moment, his whole body is curled up into a ball without any care for his image. Tears mixed with blood are flowing out of his eyes. He looks miserable and pitiful. Chapter 4195. Princess, what did you say to the demon venerable? Tiana couldn't help but ask in a loud voice. Mu Yin was silent for a moment, then slowly said, I told him that Ning Yinxin is dead. She thought that Jun Shitian didn't care about Ning Yinxin's life. He only treated it as a fleeting love in the mortal world. He was a little sad, but he didn't really care about it. But she didn't expect that the demon venerable, who pretended to be calm in front of her, would be so sad because of Ning Yinxin's death. Elder Min Wei said in a hoarse voice, Princess, the demon venerable is really innocent about the mortal world tribulation. It's not that he didn't want to find you and your mother, but that soul and spirit refused to fuse with him. He couldn't find them even if he wanted to. Also, do you hate the demon venerable for not saving your mother? In fact, when the mortal world tribulation ended, the soul and spirit were forcibly taken away by the formation without any power to resist. After the soul and spirit returned, the divine soul couldn't fuse and the demon venerable couldn't remember anything. But all these years, the demon venerable always unconsciously revealed a look of longing and absent-minded. He also didn't allow any evil woman to get close to him. He clearly forgot, but he couldn't help but collect some little things that girls like, but he couldn't remember why he did it. Min Wei's eyes turned red. Sometimes it's the people who are forced to forget that are the most painful. I don't ask you to forgive the demon venerable, but I hope that you can see that the demon venerable has been looking for you and call him a few times. Now, he can't hear us. If we let him be immersed in grief and regret, his demon core will explode. Not to mention the demon venerable and us. Even the entire immortal slaughtering city won't be able to withstand the demon venerable's self-detonation. Maybe only your voice and your call can be heard by the demon venerable. Mu Yin let out a long sigh and said in a low voice, I understand. Elder Min Wei, don't worry. I won't let anything happen to him. Min Wei was happy, but then he revealed a worried expression. In fact, asking Mu Yin to call Jun Shitian was just like trying to save a dead horse. Min Wei didn't even have a 10% chance of waking up the demon lord. Min Wei and Tian He were waiting for Mu Yin to call out to Jun Shitian. Even if she didn't call him father or father, just calling him demon lord might make Jun Shitian react. However, Mu Yin suddenly sat down on the ground, and a black zither appeared in her hands. His slender and fair fingers gently plucked the strings, producing a melodious sound. Tianhe said anxiously, Your Highness, what are you doing? Is this the time to play the zither? Shut up. However, Min Wei seemed to have noticed something. He pushed the heavenly river away and looked at Mu Yin in shock. If he's not mistaken, this antique zither is the Tian Mo Qin that once swept across the three realms. The Tian Mo Qin that made all the spirit cultivators in the Xiaoxin continent tremble with fear. Could it be that the princess is a Shun musician? As the sound of the zither gradually rose, it was sometimes agitated and sometimes lingering. It was as if the music was depicting the old days when they met, knew, and loved each other. Jun Shitian's expression slowly changed. His slack pupils gradually focused, and his scarlet eyes unconsciously looked towards the direction of the zither. Mu Yin said while playing the zither, Jun Shiyuan, do you know? Chapter 4196. When I saw with my own eyes how my mother suffered in the past 20 years, when I knew that you didn't save her, I hated you. I made up my mind to tell you Ning Yinshin's words. I wanted to see your remorseful and heartless face. Yes, she hid her resentment in her heart. She wanted to see her biological father's remorseful face. She wanted to let him taste the pain that her mother had tasted. She thought that she would be happy to see Jun Shiryan's almost crazy appearance. But in fact, at this moment, she only felt sad. The affairs of the world are unpredictable. Many times, even a powerful demon lord is just a chess piece manipulated by fate. Because of a strange combination of factors, he hurt his dearest and most loved person. Half of his body was weathered and half of his body was hurt. Mu Yin closed her eyes, and tears fell from her eyes. Now, I still don't want to forgive you. Or in other words, no one in this world can forgive you for Ning Yinshin. But I want to tell you one thing. She took a deep breath and slowly opened her eyes. Her peach blossom eyes were as clear as water, without any fluctuation, but it seemed to be enshrouded in infinite, complex emotions. In order to save me, my mother sacrificed herself and her soul scattered. I thought that she had no vitality and had disappeared from this world without a trace. But later, I found out that there was a remnant soul left in the blood vein bell that she wore all year round. Jun Shiryan's eyes suddenly widened. His red eyes flickered with hope and madness, like a drowning man grasping at the last life-saving straw. He firmly grasped it, unwilling to let go. Mu Yin accidentally discovered the existence of the remnant soul in the blood vein bell after comprehending the derivative skill of the realm of stars, nirvana of stars. She was simply ecstatic. When she was on the floating island, she planned to use her soul essence to nourish it. Soul essence would consume her lifespan. But compared to bringing her mother Ning Yinshin back to life, it was nothing. Who knew that before she could put her thoughts into action, the nether realm and Lu Xingyuan chased after young martial uncle. Young martial uncle committed suicide, and the Xiao Yao school was almost completely destroyed. Mu Yin also used the power of the law against the natural order and almost died. When she woke up again, she was already in the hidden abyss. The space of Tian Mo Qin can't be opened, and the blood vein bell can't be taken out. Naturally, she can't nurture her mother's remnant soul. She had never thought of telling Jun Shirtian about Ning Yinshin's remnant soul. But now, no matter how much she hated this man, she did not wish for him to die. No one in the room spoke, only the melodious sound of the zither reverberating in their ears. Mu Yan's eyes fell on the blood vein bell, and she said word by word, "A broken remnant soul can't be resurrected. It will only dissipate in the world as time goes by. But I, the Shun musicians, have a skill that allows me to transfer the divine essence of a living person to a remnant soul, slowly nourishing the remnant soul. If 10 years isn't enough, then I'll take 100 years. If 100 years isn't enough, then I'll take 1,000 years. If 1,000 years isn't enough, then I'll take 10,000 years. I don't know how long it will take for my soul and spirit to grow. I also don't know how long it will take for Ning Yinshin to come back to life. Perhaps she will never come back to life again." Mu Yin paused for a moment. "I originally planned to transfer my own divine essence to this remnant soul. After activating her divine power, her soul essence had already transformed into divine essence." Chapter 4197. Before he finished, Mu Yin heard the man's hoarse voice. "Let me do it." His lips trembled slightly, and after a long time, he said in a broken voice, "Let me do it. I will use my divine essence to nourish her. It doesn't matter if it's thousands of years, even if it takes away all of my divine essence." The man's expression was the same as usual, with a taut indifference. But for some reason, Mu Yin could read the humble pleading in his eyes. The nourishment of the remnant soul can only be carried out by one person from beginning to end. Otherwise, the weak remnant soul will dissipate because of the incompatibility of the divine essence. You said to let you do it. Then let me see your strength and value. You can't stop. You can't be seriously injured. You can't collapse. You can't die before the remnant soul is nourished. Can you do it? If the final result is you abandoning her again, then it's better to let go from the beginning. As soon as the voice fell, there was a bang. The enchantment set up by Min Wei shattered, and the man with bloodshot eyes slowly stood up. His expression was indifferent, and his whole body emitted a powerful and intimidating pressure. His left hand tightly grasped the blood vein bell, but he didn't dare to use too much force, as if he was afraid of breaking it. Jun Shirtan looked at Mu Yin and said in a low, hoarse voice, "I, Jun Shirtan, swear to the devil god that I will never let go again in this life, and I will not die before Yinxin's soul nourishes her consciousness." Mu Yin lowered her eyes, and tears stained her long eyelashes. The sound of the zither reverberated in the room became more and more melancholy, like a woman singing in a low voice. "Ning Yinxin, did you hear that? This man still loves you. At least you don't regret meeting. Don't regret falling in love. It's worth it. You don't have to forgive him, but at least give him a chance to compensate you, okay? Maybe, from now on, you'll never see each other again. Maybe you still have a trace of fate that hasn't been cut off, but at least come back to life. Your life is so short, so miserable. How can that little sweetness and peace be enough? I want you to come back to life, to live a long and happy life that should belong to you." The zither sound was melodious, with a bit of lightness and hope. It was like a bird that broke through the shackles of darkness and could finally fly into the vast blue sky. Mu Yin heard her own low voice. "Okay, I'll wait and see." In the side room of the City Lord Manor, Yu Ying and Night Spirit had been looking at each other for a few hours. The two of them opened their mouths to say something, then closed them again. In the end, it was Yu Ying who broke the silence. "You already knew that little Chin was a girl?" Night Spirit nodded. "When I brought her back from the Demon Cloud Ridge, she was already a woman." Then, she talked about how Mu Yin wanted to test the attributes of her magic core, but the magic core crystal exploded, and how she wanted to go to a higher level city to test the grade of her magic core, so she signed up for the betrothal election. Yu Ying was dumbfounded by what she heard. Wait, the princess's reason for participating in the betrothal contest was actually that simple? Just to test the magic core's grade? Wait, shouldn't the main point be that for this reason, little Chun-Chin actually overcame all obstacles and became one of the final 4 candidates for the princess son-in-law? I heard that little Chun-Chin used to be a spirit cultivator and has never practiced the techniques of the demon race. In the end, the elites of the devil race were beaten to the ground just like that. Yu Ying could imagine how shocked and dumbfounded all the demons in the immortal slaying city were. Chapter 4198. Night Spirit sighed with a dreamy expression. "I only knew that Liang Chun has a scumbag father who is a fiend raised by heaven. However, I never expected that this scumbag father would actually be. It was the demon lord, but she, Night Spirit, had actually picked up the noble princess." Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Night Spirit opened the door in a daze and saw a handsome young man standing outside. His hand trembled, and he almost slammed the door shut. Liang Chun-O, eunuch. Princess, why are you here?" Mu Yin gave her a puzzled look. "Why did you suddenly stutter?" As she walked into the room, she picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. He then said, "I plan to go to the Demon Imperial City. What do you two think? Do you want to come with me to the Demon Imperial Palace? Or do you want to extort a large sum of money and go back home?" Night Spirit, Yu Ying, both of them gulped at the same time. Yu Ying cautiously said, "Little Chun-Chun Apui, Your Royal Highness, you said to extort a large sum of money. Extort? Who should I extort a large sum of money from?" Mu Yin glances at her. "Do you still need to ask? Whoever is the biggest boss will be the one to extort a sum of money." So, little Chun-Chun wanted them to extort money from the demon venerable. The two of them felt their vision go black, and they almost fainted. Seeing the two of them like this, Mu Yin couldn't help but laugh. "You don't have to feel embarrassed. You've helped me a lot along the way. It's only right for me to repay you. As for the demon sovereign, he owes me something. I don't have anything in particular that I want from the demon palace. All right, I've already spoken to Elder Minwei about this, and he said that you can have as many treasures as you want below the Saint artifact grade. Saint-level treasures at will. Yu-Ing and Night Spirit clutched their chests and nearly fainted. Especially Night Spirit. She had never left Blood Flame City before. But now, he had seen the Demon Lord with his own eyes, and he had even shared a bed with the princess. Demon God above. Was this the feeling of hugging someone's thigh? She still felt like she was in a dream. In the end, both Night Spirit and Yu-Ing chose to follow Mu Yin to the Demon Palace. Yu-Ying's cultivation was not low, and she also held a position in the Devil Imperial City. However, she had never been to the Demon Palace, which was the highest place in the world. As for Night Spirit, it was needless to say. Mayan smiles and says, "Then let's set off tonight. I've already sent people to tidy up the things in the inn." As he spoke, he heard a loud noise coming from outside. Then, there was a faint shout of excitement. "I won. Huh. So I should be the one to report to Her Royal Highness. All of you get up. No one is allowed to fight with me." Then, there was a series of hurried knocks on the door. Mu Yin said, "Come in," and saw a little demon guard his early 20s rushing in excitedly. But when he's a few meters away from Mayan, he promptly stops. However, his eyes were nervously and excitedly looking at her, his face full of admiration. Mayan coughs lightly. "What's the matter?" "There's something." "Oh yes, there's something. Your Royal Highness, there's an old man waiting outside the inn where you stayed. He wants to see you." Old man. Chapter 4199. In fact, after the Demon Lord performed a public recognition ceremony on the slaughtering Immortal Square, then where Mu Yin originally lived was simply overcrowded by the demons. One by one, they all shouted that they wanted to see the princess and Demon King Yi. A dirty old man ran over and said that he wanted to see Mu Yin. At first, these demon guards were too lazy to pay attention to him, but they didn't know what kind of magic this old man had. A pair of dark eyes looked at them for a long time, as if their souls were caught, and they were unknowingly led to the city lord's mansion. But at this time, after the little demon guard came back to his senses, he was a little scared. If this old man was a spy sent by a cunning human spirit cultivator, wouldn't he harm the princess? He quickly said, "Princess, you are so noble and great. How can you see a dirty beggar? We were the ones who lost our minds. I'll chase them away right now." "Wait a minute." Mu Yin opened her mouth to stop him. "What did he ask you to bring me to see?" Hearing this, the little demon guard quickly took out a small Chinquan bag from his bosom and gave it to Mu Yin. This Chinquan bag was shabby and couldn't hold many things. Moreover, its surface was stained with oil. Most importantly, there wasn't even a mabe in the bag. The little demon guard was now more and more regretful. He felt that he was really out of his mind to promise the old man to bring this broken thing to the princess. Seeing this Chinquan bag, Mu Yin couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. "So it's him." This Chinquan bag was given to the old man who helped her test the level of her magic nucleus in Cloud City. Mu Yin always felt that the old man was hiding a lot of secrets. He was able to see through her hidden strength, disguised as a man, and even guessed that her magic core grade test would explode her magic core crystal. At that time, she felt that the old man must not be simple. But the old man obviously didn't want to talk to her, and Mu Yin wasn't a person who would get to the bottom of things. So he left after leaving enough compensation and remuneration. She didn't expect that the old man would come to her today. Was it because he knew that she was Jun Shirtian's daughter? Mu Yin thought for a moment and said, "Bring him in." Thinking of the old man's stench, she coughed lightly and said, "Have someone take him to take a bath first." "Yes, Your Highness." In the main hall of the city lord's mansion, Minwei glanced at Jun Shirtian from time to time. Lord Demon Honor's expression had returned to normal. It was as if he had never lost his composure before. But there was a red rope around his neck. There is a bell hanging from the red string, which is tightly attached to Jun Shirtian's chest. With the slightest movement of the body, there will be a jingling sound. Minwei coughed lightly and said, "Demon Lord, I've already passed down your instructions." No one in the immortal slaying city who knew about the princess's identity would dare to spread the news. But cough cough, This matter cannot be wrapped up in paper. Sooner or later, everyone will know the princess's identity. Jun Shitian's eyelids drooped, his voice heavy. She is not willing to acknowledge me. Even if he didn't ask, he knew that Mu Yin wouldn't hate him anymore and let him take care of the blood vein bell. According to Jun Shitian, he wished for the whole world to know that Mu Yin is his daughter. But he also knew that at least for a short period of time, Mu Yin would not recognize him as her father. Therefore, even though he was unwilling, he still ordered the people of the immortal slaying city not to talk about Yi Liangchen's identity. Min Wei naturally knew what Jun Shitian was thinking. Therefore, the order was passed down a little bit. Chapter 4200. However, even if the order is passed down, can it quell the discussion? It's obviously impossible. What kind of person is Her Royal Highness? Even if she is unknown, coming from a remote corner like Blood Flame City, she can still set off monstrous waves in the hidden abyss, attracting the worship of countless demons. There were even many devils who had offered their devil souls as early as in Blood Flame City and Crimson Star City, vowing allegiance to them. Thinking of this, Elder Min Wei smiles with incomparable satisfaction and pride, truly worthy of being their Royal Highness. This heaven-defying strength and talent, bloodthirsty physique, simply surpasses the demon lord of the past. Thinking of this, Min Wei can't help but praise. Jun Shitian's gloomy expression is indeed a lot better. Is Yin Yin's palace ready? Min Wei strokes his beard. It's already prepared. I have ordered people to clean and arrange. It should satisfy Her Royal Highness. There are also a few sets of princess dress, enchanting, pure, charming, valiant. There are all kinds. There must be one that princess will like. As he speaks, Min Wei's expression stiffens, slightly opens his mouth, unable to speak for a long time. Jun Shitian asks, "What's going on?" Cough. Min Wei cautiously says, "Demon Lord, we arranged the heavenly enchantment banquet and the groom selection. Princess won't like it right." Before seeing Mu Yin, Jun Shitian's memory has not been restored. And Min Wei, Tianhe, and the others have been silently thinking that after Her Royal Highness is found, she will happily acknowledge her father. After all, who doesn't want the world's #1 expert, the one and only king under the hidden abyss, to be her father? But dreams are beautiful. Reality is cruel. The moment Jun Shitian saw the blood vein bell, he recovered his memory. Only then did he realize how much he owes Ning Yinxin and Mu Yin. Moreover, Her Royal Highness is too strong. She doesn't need to acknowledge her father. She can already set off a craze of admirers in the demon race. Moreover, Her Royal Highness and Polar Domain's Emperor are obviously in love. After all, they already have children. Thinking of the heavenly enchantment banquet, matchmaking banquet, that demon lord arbitrarily arranged, Min Wei can't help but want to cry in sympathy. He feels that demon lord has a long way to go to acknowledge his daughter. Jun Shitian's expression stiffened. Ahem, I'm afraid that all of the young elites from the great clans and sects who are participating in the heavenly enchantment banquet have already left for the hidden abyss. Demon Lord, should we announce that the heavenly enchantment banquet is cancelled? Jun Shitian said without hesitation, "No." His gaze is gloomy. He grits his teeth and says, "If Yin Yin doesn't like it, then send them all away." But Ben Zun will never allow that brat Di Mingju to easily abduct my daughter. That's why you're holding the heavenly enchantment banquet, to let Her Highness watch the heroes you've chosen get beaten up by the Polar Domain's sovereign emperor, so as to increase his position in Her Highness' heart? Min Wei looked at his demon lord with a complicated expression. He felt that his demon lord's IQ had plummeted when it came to the matter of recognizing his daughter. It was almost hopeless. Min Wei coughed lightly again. Then this subordinate will return to the Demon Emperor Palace to arrange matters related to the heavenly enchantment banquet. As he walked out of the room, Min Wei bumped into 2 demon guards and an old man. Min Wei subconsciously glanced over. When he met the old man's gaze, his heart skipped a beat. Chapter 4201. It's a very familiar feeling. That pair of inky black eyes are bottomless. but there seems to be some kind of surging emotion buried within. But after a closer look, there's nothing there. Minwei asks, "Who is this?" The two demon guards quickly bow and say, reporting to Elder Minwei, "This person is an old acquaintance of the princess. He came to see Her Highness." Minwei looks at the old man a few more times. He only feels that his brows are indescribably ordinary. Even if he's thrown into a pile of demons, he probably wouldn't be able to recognize him. He doesn't understand where this familiar feeling comes from. Finally, he waves his hand, signaling them to leave. After the demon guards lead the old man far away, the old man suddenly stops, looking in the direction where Minwei disappeared, and smiles softly. That smile is indescribably sad and desolate, but it quickly fades away. The demon guards bring the old man into the room and leave. When there are only two people left in a room, the old man suddenly kneels respectfully to the ground, kowtowing to Mu Yin. "Greetings to Her Highness." Mu Yin smiles. "I'm really not used to you being so serious. It's more pleasing to hear you call me little girl." The old man's body sways slightly, and he stands up. "Her Highness's life-saving grace. This old man doesn't dare to forget it. If I don't show some respect, it won't be justifiable." "Life-saving grace?" Mu Yin stares blankly, then reacts. "You mean those healing magic pills? That won't heal the wounds on your body. In fact, your magic nucleus is very strange. It's far more than just a simple injury. My magic core can at most slightly repair the scars on your magic nucleus, but it's almost impossible to make it completely recover." The old man stares at her blankly. After a long time, he shows a smile and lets out a long sigh. "Being able to slightly recover is already all my hope. Her Highness, this old man offended you in the past. Please be magnanimous and don't mind it. Today, I seek an audience with you because I have a presumptuous request." Mu Yin increasingly feels that this old man is strange. Before, his mouth was full of vulgarities, completely like a beggar in the marketplace. But now, his speech is genteel, showing that he once had a very high education and bearing. He doesn't even look like a demon. She asked, "What do you want?" The old man lowered his eyes and said, "I hope that the princess can bring me back to the demon palace as a servant." Mu Yin narrowed her eyes and looked at him with a faint smile. "You wanted to take you back to the demon palace? How'd I know if you're a spy or not? At the very least, you should tell me who you are and why you're going to the demon palace, right?" Being questioned like this, the old man's expression did not change at all. He lifted the corner of his robe and slowly knelt down. A dagger had appeared in his hand. His skinny fingers gripped the hilt of the knife tightly, and without hesitation, he stabbed his own heart. Mu Yin is startled by him. Just as he was about to speak, a drop of red water floated out of the old man's wound and floated into the air. The old man's eyes are still drooping. His complexion is deathly pale, and his cracked lips are slightly opening and closing, muttering words that Mu Yin can't understand. Mu Yin's whole body tensed up subconsciously, and the Seven Absolutes sword was unconsciously grasped in her palm. However, the next moment, the red droplet still entered her body without warning. The drowning disappeared. "What did you do?" Mu Yin looked at the old man in astonishment. Chapter 4202. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Mu Yin was speechless for a moment. This old man is really strange. His whole body seems to be shrouded in fog, dangerous and unfathomable. She wanted to refuse, but when she saw the old man's pleading eyes, she swallowed it back down. "Then get ready. We'll go to the Demon Imperial City tonight." Hearing this, the old man's turbid eyes suddenly brighten like stars. Then he kneels down towards Mu Yin. Xiaoxing Continent's southeast border, Siqing tribe. Crimson flames soared into the sky, then fell like a meteor, directly burning a huge, small mountain into powder. A woman in red slowly descended from the sky, gently waving the long sword in her hand. She whispered, "My cultivation has finally been completely restored. 3rd level Mystic Immortal. I shouldn't be too far behind, right?" Although she said so, the woman's face still showed a sad expression. At least, she definitely can't catch up with that abnormal little sister. Thinking of the news she just saw in Tianguang ruins a few days ago, her eyes became more excited. Yiliang Chun, Tianguang ruins. Under the abyss, it turns out that little sister is in the demon race. It seems that it's time to set off for the demon race. Miss Yuma, so you're really here? A loud voice interrupted Lung Yuma's thoughts. She saw a tall young man walking quickly. When he approached and saw her cheeks slightly red because of the flames, his face showed a somewhat bashful expression. The young man scratched his head and said, "The patriarch asked you to go over. He said that Elder Huagu is ready to leave." Lung Yuma nodded, said a word of thanks, and strode to the center of the tribe. The young man hurriedly followed. He walked very fast, but did not dare to walk side by side with the woman in front of him. Dressed in red, the woman in androgynous attire exuded strength and freedom. She was so mysterious and so attractive. No one knew where she came from, but she suddenly appeared in the Si-Ching tribe's territory. At first, she was on the verge of death, and her appearance was ruined. Everyone thought that she was dead. However, she didn't expect that as time passed, the wounds on her body actually began to heal automatically. The Si-Ching tribe was kind but exclusive. After Lung Yuma recovered, they wanted her to leave. Who would have thought that the patriarch's daughter would go berserk in her cultivation? The doctors in the tribe were helpless, and everyone thought that her cultivation had been destroyed. At this time, Lung Yuma took out a pill to save her. From then on, the clan leader and his family were deeply grateful to Lung Yuma. Everyone in the clan became more and more fond of this valiant, heroic, and cheerful girl. Young Jacob even had some delusional thoughts. However, after witnessing Lung Yuma's strength, he did not dare to speak up due to his inferiority complex. Suddenly, he couldn't help but take 2 steps forward and whispered, "Miss Yuma, are you really planning to leave the Si-Ching tribe and go to the hidden abyss?" Lung Yuma laughed. Her voice was a little excited. "I told you before, my little junior sister is in the deep abyss. I have to go find her." Jacob wanted to ask if his junior sister was a devil. How could it be in the hidden abyss? However, this little bit of curiosity turned into melancholy when he thought about how Lung Yuma was about to leave. He didn't even have the interest to ask. Jacob lowered his head, his hands clenched into a ball. He finally gathered his courage and whispered, "Miss Yuma, can you stay in the Si-Ching tribe? To you I." He raised his head halfway, but found that Lung Yuma had already walked far away and did not hear him at all. Chapter 42:03. The anger in Jacob's heart seemed to have been released, and his face showed a disappointed expression. When Lung Yuma turned around to urge him, he hurriedly followed her, but didn't say anything. The two quickly returned to the tribe. Along the way, many men and women smiled and greeted Lung Yuma. Obviously, they all liked this valiant and open-minded girl. "Yuma, you're here?" The chief of the Si-Ching tribe saw her and immediately revealed a kind smile. "Elder Huagu has decided to go to the hidden abyss tomorrow. Are you ready?" Lung Yuma bowed deeply to the chief and Huagu. "Thank you for taking me to the demon race." She knew that the Si-Ching tribe originally didn't intend to send anyone to the enchantment banquet, but because she knew that her junior sister was in the hidden abyss, she was eager to meet up with her junior sister. The chief of the Si-Ching tribe decided to symbolically bring people to participate. Huagu smiled. "Miss Yuma, don't worry. The emperor of the polar domain will also be going to the hidden abyss. No matter how arrogant the demon race is, they won't dare to attack us spirit cultivators. What's more, the enchantment banquet is to choose a husband for the demon race's princess, so the demon lord won't start a massacre. Miss Yuma, you can find your junior martial sister, and we will be able to return." Lung Yuma's face revealed a somewhat surprised expression. Instructor M.O. was also going to the hidden abyss to participate in the enchantment banquet. Why? Wasn't the enchantment banquet the demon lord was looking for a husband for the demon race's princess? Could it be that Instructor M.O. was going to abandon junior sister after making use of her? Although this guess was unimaginable, Lung Yuma was still anxious. She wanted to see her junior sister and know if everyone in the Xiaoyao sect was safe and sound. Early the next morning, Elder Hua Gu activated the transmission array. The Xiqing tribe was very far from the entrance of the hidden abyss. They didn't have high-grade flying magic treasures, so it would take at least half a day to go there by themselves. So Elder Hua Gu asked to see Si Tiancheng of the Yinyang sect in the Nether region, hoping that they could give him a ride. This time, the demon race's heavenly enchantment banquet had invited spirit cultivators from all over the world. There were many third- and fourth-rate sects, aristocratic families, and tribes that did not dare to go by themselves or did not have the ability to go. Usually, they would seek the protection of large sects and aristocratic families in order to let their juniors broaden their horizons without any danger. Xiqing's tribe was adjacent to the Yinyang sect, and Huagu was acquainted with an elder of the Yinyang sect, so he chose to seek protection from the Yinyang sect. The patriarch watched as the light from the teleportation array disappeared. He smiled and prepared to return to his room. When he turned around, he saw Jacob staring blankly ahead, as if he had lost his mind. The clan leader patted him on the shoulder and said, "Don't even think about it. You don't deserve someone like Lady Yuma." Jacob lowered his head sadly and walked back to his room. The clan leader smiled and didn't worry too much as he followed them back. Young people would always feel sad when they realized the gap and hopelessness. But after the sadness subsided, he understood that some people did not belong to him, nor did they belong to this small Xiqing tribe. As the patriarch lamented, a streak of light suddenly flew over from afar. The guards outside the camp couldn't help but shout, "Who is it?" "It's me. I'm Meng. I'm back." The patriarch was overjoyed and hurriedly ordered people to release the restriction. Then he saw a young and handsome monk slowly land on his kasaya. Chapter 4204. As soon as the kasaya landed on the ground, the young girl came down and smiled at the chief. "Uncle Chief, Master Jing Yuan and I are back." The chief revealed a kind smile and looked Wu Meng up and down. After making sure that she was fine, he looked at Jing Yuan and said respectfully, "Master Jing Yuan, did you find the person you were looking for?" Jing Yuan's face showed a bit of sadness and absent-mindedness. He put his palms together and said softly, "Amit Ba, I have found what I was looking for. Thank you, Miss Wu Meng, for leading the way. I still have something to do, so I will take my leave first." Wu Meng's originally red face immediately turned pale after hearing this. She subconsciously shouted, "Master Jing Yuan, you are leaving now?" Jing Yuan did not see the affection in the little girl's eyes and only said gently, "I will take my leave." After saying that, his figure began to slowly fade. However, at this moment, Jacob hurriedly ran out of the room. Chief, Miss Yumo seems to have left something in the ancestral hall." Hearing the two words, "U-M-O," Jing Yuan's figure that was about to dissipate suddenly stopped and gradually condensed back into a solid body. He instinctively turned to look at Jacob, who was speaking. The chief also looked over in surprise and saw Jacob holding a Chinquan bag and hurriedly walking over. "Chief, look, this should be Miss Yumo's thing, right? There are many precious pills and talismans in it, as well as some magic tools and crystals. Did Miss Yumo accidentally forget to take it with her?" The chief poured out all the things in the Chinquan bag and actually piled them up on the table. And in the pile of pills and magic tools, there was a piece of paper. On it was written in flamboyant handwriting, "Thank you to the Xiqing tribe for saving my life. Lung Umo." The chief's heart warmed up and he could not help but sigh. This child. She had clearly helped him so much, but she still had to thank them so seriously. Suddenly, the paper in the chief's hand was taken away. He turned his head in surprise and saw that the usually calm Jing Yuan's face was actually filled with surprise or even excitement. "Umo is here?" The little monk's clear voice slightly trembled. Ever since he learned of second senior brother's death, his lifeless and gloomy eyes shone with vitality for the first time. When he returned from the floating island, his heart was full of longing and joy. He just wanted to quickly tell his master that he wanted to renounce asceticism. However, the master only had the three of them as disciples. Second brother was missing. Eldest brother was a man of few words who was rigid and solemn, and now even he himself had to leave Debi Temple. Jing Yuan was reluctant, so he gave himself a year's time. He wanted to search for second brother for another year. If he could find him, that would be for the best. He could repay his master's kindness. If he could not find her, he would not delay any longer. He would resolutely renounce secular life and leave Debi Temple, waiting for UMO to ascend to the cultivation continent. However, in the blink of an eye, it had changed beyond recognition. The news of second brother's death was like a heavy blow that plunged the entire Debi Temple into chaos. Master's grief could be imagined. Even the eldest brother, who had always been serious, was flustered and insisted on using the resurrection lamp to save the second brother. Soul return and soul formation, reversing yin and yang, going against the heavenly Tao. Even if he could resurrect the dead, he would have to pay a terrible price. However, Jing Yuan had no choice. He was born in a pool of blood and grew up in filthy sin. It was second brother who brought him back to Debi Temple with a body full of sin and asked the master to accept him as a disciple. Chapter 42:05. For many years, when his master was recuperating in seclusion, it was his second senior brother who taught him and chanted Buddhist Dharma to eliminate the sin and hatred in his heart. Blood Moon was heartless, and Jing Yuan refined his heart. It could be said that his second senior brother gave him a second life. He couldn't watch his second senior brother's soul dissipate and disappear from the world without doing anything. Therefore, he could only change his fate. Heaven and earth wouldn't tolerate him. Could he still be with UMO in this state? If they were forced to be together, would it harm UMO? But even if he told himself over and over again that he had chosen to save his second senior brother, he would have to sever their relationship. But when he heard the news about UMO, his dead heart still beat violently. He wanted to see UMO. He wanted to see UMO more than ever. Only when he saw UMO and held her tightly in his arms did he realize that he was still alive and not the walking puppet he had been in the past. Master Jing Yuan? The patriarch's shout rang in his ears, bringing Jing Yuan back to his senses. Master Jing Yuan, do you know UMO? Jing Yuan opened his dry lips and found his voice after a long while. Is she here? The patriarch sighed. UMO has just gone to the Yin-Yang sect through the transmission formation. If you came back earlier, you would have met her. However, the Yin-Yang sect will not go to the abyss until tomorrow. If you go there now, you might meet her. Jing Yuan held the paper in his hand and slowly crumpled it into a ball. His knuckles made cracking sounds. Perhaps this was fate that belonged to him. If there was fate, then there was no fate. Even the heavens wanted him to miss it and not continue. Since that was the case, he should let go. Jing Yuan slowly put his palms together and softly said, Amit Ba, if fate allows it, we will meet again. Since we are not fated, forget it. I will leave now. His voice was calm, dry, and without a hint of emotion. But his heart seemed to be clenched by something. It was so painful that he couldn't breathe. Break away, break away. Master said that only by breaking away from the mortal world, abandoning karma, and staying away from the sin of love could one achieve the right result. But no one had ever told him that it would be so painful when he was cut off from his lover. It was far more painful than when he was Blood Moon. It was also more painful than when his sins were cut off inch by the Buddha's light. Master, are you leaving now? Wu Ming reluctantly stepped forward as if she wanted to stop him. But as soon as she stretched out her hand, it froze in midair. The little monk in front of him had a handsome face, but at this moment, his face was like that of an Ajura. His eyes were red and cold like ice. The scariest thing was that his entire body was surging with red flames, as if they were going to swallow him whole. Wu Ming screamed in fright and sat down on the ground. What happened? Master's heart. Grandmaster Jing Yuan, is he suffering from chi deviation? Master Jing Yuan, what's going on? Come. The chief's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly commanded the clansmen to retreat. He held a magical artifact in his hand as he nervously looked at the little monk. Just a moment ago, the little monk was still fine, as though he was filled with Buddha's nature. How did he suddenly become so terrifying? He was like a devil that had crawled out of hell. Chapter 4206. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Please remember this site's domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. However, there were sparkling and translucent tears rolling down from her crimson eyes. Just as the clan leader was about to speak, a crimson stream of light suddenly came from afar like lightning. Before the clan leader could react, he saw a woman in red jump down from the long saber. While panting heavily, she tore off the talisman on her body. Fortunately, I still have the teleportation talisman that little junior sister gave me. Clan leader, there seems to be something very important in the Chinkoan bag that I gave you. As she spoke, she rushed over and rummaged through the pile of things. Not long after, she found a small bottle. She heaved a sigh of relief and said to the clan leader, "This is the bottle that my little monk used to collect the soul-nurturing pond water for me. No matter what, it can be considered a token of love." TSK, it was all because she and her little monk were separated more often than not. She didn't even have a few decent tokens of love. As a result, she couldn't bear to throw away the 2 small porcelain storage bottles. After Lung Yuma finished searching and muttering, she realized that the surrounding atmosphere was a little strange and stiff. Only then did she blink her eyes and raise her head to look. Then she was stunned. Fuck. She couldn't help but curse and murmured, "Am I hallucinating because I miss the little monk too much?" Before Lung Yuma could finish her sentence, her vision suddenly blurred. She was hugged tightly by a pair of hands. It was so tight that her bones made cracking sounds, and she felt waves of pain. It was so tight that she almost couldn't breathe. However, Lung Yuma laughed softly. "It's so painful. It doesn't seem to be an illusion. Little monk, I really saw you." Her voice stopped abruptly, because she felt a scalding liquid sliding down her neck. It was so hot that her whole heart was aching. Lung Yuma reached out and hugged Jing Yuan. She said softly, "Little monk, what's wrong? Why are you so happy to see me? Are you crying tears of joy?" The man hugging her did not say anything, but his hands tightened. Lung Yuma could not help but take a deep breath. "Little monk, are you trying to strangle me and murder your own wife?" She looked to the side and saw that the people of the Si Ching tribe were staring at the two of them in shock. For a moment, his scalp went numb. She, a girl, was hugging the little monk. This scene seemed to be quite sensational, right? If she were to kiss the little monk now, would the patriarch and the others be so frightened that they would faint? Forget it. I'm already being treated as a monster anyway. What was she afraid of? Thinking of this, Lung Yuma struggled to break free from Jing Yuan's hand, held his face, and kissed him on the corner of his mouth. The girl said with a smile, "Little monk, why are you so sad? Do you feel happier if I kiss you?" Jing Yuan stared at her blankly. When he came back to his senses, he realized what had just happened. The small monk's fair and clean face was immediately dyed red. He let go of her in a flurry, looking flustered and at a loss for what to do, especially when she came into contact with the shocked gazes of the people around her, who couldn't close their mouths. Even her neck turned red. What did he do just now? When Lung Yuma saw that the shy little monk that she was familiar with had returned, her face immediately bloomed with a bright smile. She grabbed the little monk and jumped onto the red lotus soul stealing knife. She said to the dumbfounded patriarch, "Patriarch, let me introduce him to you. This is my man, Jing Yuan. Ahem, although he is dressed like a monk now, he will definitely return to secular life and marry into the Xiaoyao sect in the future." Chapter 4207. What do you mean by a long absence makes the heart grow fonder? Bah, I mean we've reunited after a long time, and we still need to reminisce about the past. I'll take my leave first. Without waiting for the Si Ching tribe to react, the Red Lotus Soul Stealing Blade, turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. The chief of the Si Qing tribe, Jacob, and Wu Ming were left behind with dreamy expressions. Because the Yin-Yang sect was going to the hidden abyss tomorrow, Lung Yuma used the teleportation talisman that she didn't have much left. She had to get back to the Yin-Yang sect before dawn. Although the teleport talisman had sped up her speed, it could only let her go back and forth in one night. However, Jing Yuan was different. His cultivation had already reached the immortal supremacy stage. There were only a few people in the entire Xioshan continent who were more powerful than him. Simple teleportation was not a problem at all. Therefore, it took Lung Yuma more than 4 hours to get there. When he returned, not even 10 minutes had passed. However, they didn't enter the Yin-Yang sect directly. Instead, they landed in a valley behind the Yin-Yang sect. Lung Yuma stood still and looked at Jing Yuan from head to toe. The more she looked, the deeper her frown became. She knew that the little monk's cultivation level was very high. Ordinary cold, heat, hunger, and thirst couldn't harm his body or mind. However, the person in front of him seemed to have lost a lot of weight. Furthermore, he seemed to have lost his spirit and became gloomy and deathly still. Lung Yuma felt a surge of anger and heartache. Who on earth had turned her little monk into this? Just as she was thinking, her hand was suddenly grabbed by someone. Jing Yuan looked at her nervously. "Umo, did I look scary just now? Did I scare you?" Jing Yuan vaguely knew that he had almost entered the state of Blood Moon. His body was filled with hatred, and he looked like an Azura. Even demonic cultivators would feel fear and retreat upon seeing it. What would Umo think of him? This thought made his heart clench. However, the girl in front of him revealed a puzzled expression, her brows slightly furrowed. What did he look like just now? Lung Yuma tried her best to recall. "I was too excited when I first saw you, so I didn't have time to see what you looked like. Why don't you show me again? Was it cool and domineering, or a demonic one?" Jing Yuan, the corners of his mouth curled up unknowingly, and the expression on his face slowly relaxed, revealing the clear joy and sweetness of a young man. Lung Yuma's heart itched when she saw him like this. She couldn't help but grab the little monk's kasaya and make him lower his head. Then, she gently kissed the corner of his mouth. However, before she could retreat, she was pressed against the rockery by the little monk who had obediently allowed her to tease him a moment ago. In an instant, his breathing was adjusted. There seemed to be footsteps and voices coming from not far away in front of the rockery. Their breaths that were entwined with each other became rapid and hot. Jing Yuan's grip on her palm felt like it was on fire. When the kiss ended, the voices gradually faded away. Lung Yuma poked her head out to take a look. He should be an outer disciple of the Yin-Yang sect who happened to be passing by. She retracted her head and looked at the little monk's eyes and cheeks, which seemed to be dyed red by peach blossoms. She couldn't help but burst into laughter. If someone finds out that you're having an affair with a woman, your innocence will be ruined. Jing Yuan hugged her, lowered his head, and pressed his forehead against the woman's. His voice was slightly breathless. "I've lost my innocence for a long time. I don't want it. I only want you." You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.